The reason why I've called this meeting up tonight is because I wanted to gather the greatest brains that I could find to disseminate some information. Yeah, just for the record. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Who wants to start?
I think you're the host.
Oh, no.
Yeah, what's the main topic
I didn't even know.
The commandments.
Oh, right, the commandments.
The commandments.
Yeah, we've been waiting to hear these commandments.
Shall we just go straight into it?
Let's do it.
Because okay. First, cheers, everyone, eh? Let's go. Thanks for coming down.
Salud.
Yeah.
Salud.
This is. I'll probably be wrapping up the year with this podcast, or who knows? Maybe we'll do a holidays one. You know, I'm happy.
That's a good wine.
Very nice.
That's
fine beer.
Mm-hmm. How do you do hop? So here's my predicament. Who would say the commandments are clearly a spiritual thing, right? It's or a religious thing, or I call it the values thing, which is the gods are our values, right?
Well, it's definitely a spiritual thing.
Right? So now, the spiritual thing, many of the spiritual things that have been dominant, and I mean, when I say dominant, I mean kind of in like nationally and big societies and all that kind of stuff, have been the religious ones. And they come, this has been their claim to fame, they all come with the, let's call it, their own set of commandments. Right? And I've even recently found out that pretty much the only dominant religion that is dominating is the Abrahamic monotheistic religion. That comes in 3 flavors, right? And but apart from that, most of them don't really survive very much. And then what you see, and I've noticed this with North America because it's kind of young culturally, because it just only got settled into like a few hundred years ago. You see this, especially on the West Coast, because that place got, occupied the last. You see these religio-esque, let's call it, not to be mistaken with grotesque.
Or is it?
Maybe. Like Scientology and EST, landmark technically too.
What's EST?
EST is an early version of landmark. I think same creators, but it's all the other.
And what's landmark? Yeah, I'm actually not familiar with this.
Well, we digress already. Landmark is a Vancouver local one that what's his name? Chip from Lululemon had everyone, every of his employees get the training. It's kind of one of those. Religions, you can call it, just like Scientology is sort of like a, let's call it, motivational course.
Can we fact check this?
It's true.
This is our fact checker tonight.
I took the landmark course.
Really?
Yeah, and then I was going to break up with the girl who paid for it to put me in it. And I had these girls from Lululemon ask me to go to this bar after, and then got into a fight with the girl at the time. So that's the fact check for you, that landmark, yeah. It exists, okay. And it's like a mind, not control, but a mind awakening of a certain plethora of rules in a way.
But is it a religion?
Well,
this has a taste of, it's like a...
Like it's sounding a little culty.
That's religion on steroids, really, right?
Yes.
Yeah, or like a really small, like proto-religion. That's kind of how I think.
So that's my point. So you see the dominant Abrahamics kind of worldwide, but that's only in the West. Once you go to India, they've got the Hinduism. Then China's got their whatever's there left. Japan, like that's Buddhism over there. All right? But where I'm going with this is that lately the dominant one that came out in the West, compared to all these smaller Scientology style ones, is let's call it the progressive woke religion. Right? And what I've also noticed is that whatever name we want to give it, I think we all know what I'm saying when I use that term. We can de-radicalize the term for all I care, right? We can find a better term. But that one has actually become very dominant in the West. And it's atheistic. This is, I think, by and large, it presents itself. People who have been atheists, by and large, people who don't have a religion, have adopted it, and then it became a beast of its own, right? And now that, to come to my point now of what this is about, now that we've come to a point where it seems, especially down south in the US, where the whole woke world is kind of really starting to dissolve itself, what is happening is that the Abrahamics are coming back in right now and saying, well, there you go. Atheism is, bust. We told you from the beginning that we've got these books that give you the set of values that are the real God's values. And that's being ushered back in. And my attempts with all this, and I really mean to continue doing this with you guys in the real world going forward, not just on podcasts and whatnot. I kind of wanted to introduce it here. But my intention is to say, we have a set of values that we can, gather up from, cherry pick for all I care. Right? From all the Abrahamic religions, from the woke religions. There's good stuff about, in its sense, whatever woke ended up being in terms of captured system, the underlying movements were actually just core movements for the minorities and such, right?
I got a question. Do we agree that all religions are made up by humans? Like they're written and created by humans?
That's a good question.
Because I wonder, if this planet was to stop existing, who is God then? Like, there's no humans, there's no Earth.
Don't get him started.
Who's God? Who's God then? You know what I mean? And that's only one planet amongst trillions of planets.
I'm happy to take that as the main premise.
Actually, where do we all stand on this anyway? Are we theists or are we atheists here? I mean,
let's put that down.
So we know where we're coming from. I'll start with myself then. I grew up agnostic/atheist and had no religious upbringing whatsoever. And I do believe that religion is mind control. However, I do think that there is a God being. There is a God power. Or let's say there is a power in creation that is above man. Let's just put it that way.
You just don't subscribe to the way they described it in most religions.
No, not completely. I think there's kernels of truth, basic things like the golden rule, and then coming from that, natural law. A lot of people would say that that kind of morality, that is kind of God. It's that conscience within you that kind of tells you what's right and wrong. But anyway, I don't claim to know anything. I'm not a religious guy or a proselytizer or anything, but I do believe that there is a power in creation higher than man.
All right, but have you spent time forming your own religion in any way at all?
I kind of live by my own conception of reality. I take a little bit from everywhere, and I kind of try to put together what I think the actual truth is.
Right.
I can't get down with any one system because as far as I can tell, everything that I've seen thus far appears to be some sort of control mechanism, some sort of box to keep you restrained.
I would say, how many people are killed in the name of God?
Yeah.
How many people are killed in the name of the devil? Probably not that many compared to God.
And you think of the Inquisition.
Arguably. There is. I mean, if you look into Luciferianism and the whole child sacrifice.
I don't have the numbers in front of me.
It's just that is another
That's
thing.
a hard topic to research.
But quick thing on the golden rule, it's I think that's Confucius said it before Jesus. It's don't oppose unto others what you would not want done to yourself. And then Jesus said, whatever the fuck he said. And then, but I believe that the energy you emit, so what you emit into the world, if I go like that to him, to Jay, I deserve for that to happen back to me. So the energy you emit is the energy you deserve. So if you do that to someone else, that's a very small example. You could lie, you could spit, you could whatever, you cheat on someone, whatever, right? You do it to hurt someone, you deserve to happen to you. That's all I wanted to
You're putting it out there into the mix, and what goes around comes around.
If I just start standing up and then I just throw a glass into one of these mirrors, that's why would I do that, right? But I deserve that to happen.
He who lives by the sword dies by the sword.
In a way, yeah.
It very much sounds like karma.
What you do is what you deserve.
Yeah.
And if you can put a scientific frame on it, and every action has an equal and opposite reaction, so depending on that frame, essentially what you put out comes back to you.
So that would be, so that's a perfect example of how you can construct, because I know for a fact that you've put that into your kind of religious kind of holster, right? That's one of your tenets.
That's probably my main command.
That's your main
commandment.
So this is a good example. This is what I want to build with you guys tonight, because I got a bunch of ideas. And what I want to do is that I want to just meat grind them with you guys, you know, just to kind of see what your take is and find not only that, but if you have tenets like this, you bring it up and we see how that fits in whatever I've done. And then we just form. We don't need to have some holy book 300 years ago. We just put our own, we observe our own humanity and draw it out of it. It's not rocket
I like that
science.
because I do think that it is ingrained into the fabric of reality, true morality. And I think that anyone who's in touch with their conscience or in touch with their, the emotional undercurrent that runs through everyone,
right.
We kind of do know what's right and wrong,
totally.
if we're honest with ourselves.
So what are you guys then?
Oh, I don't like to define myself. I'm into the universe. Because I ask, what if the earth didn't exist? What would you have left? You got the universe. That's what I believe.
That's good enough.
God is the universe. That's what I'm. And I'm not the first person.
So, for the record, you would not say that you're subscribing to any of the major religions out there.
Yeah, I don't want to.
It's not.
I don't want to be defined to.
Okay, good.
I don't group identify with the religion. Good. But I like religions, and I have a church right beside my place, and those people get along. When things were tough in my life, I went to a church, and I found a positive way to deal with things. So I actually have. For the most part, positive outlook on people getting together. And religions, it's kind of like when people use weird things in the Bible and translate things to take advantage of people. And the energy you emit, if you're using a book or whatever, you deserve what you get. You don't just I do this and then I just spin 3 times and I'm forgiven. It's that's bull crap.
Listen up. Considering that today is kind of like officially the start of this religion cult club. Whatever you want to call it.
Club's the best of them.
If at any point you start getting triggered and you need to really let it out, we will hold the space for you, brother.
Is this the woke club?
No. At least this is where we use one of their terminologies. It's the safe space concept, for example. If you've gone to parties, electronica parties, they would have the chill out room over there. If you're overwhelmed, go chill out. That's the safe space. But it's just taken a wrong turn at Albuquerque, the whole thing, as far as I'm concerned.
Just to keep on track here. So we've heard from ourselves and Rob. Yes. We haven't heard from Jay on his...
So...
Here we go.
Yeah, my belief is that there's a paradox at the heart of the universe, which is that we are all one, while at the same time paradoxically individual. So I believe that everything is consciousness. We're all existing within the mind of God, you might say. And the purpose we are here is because this great consciousness, if you imagine, what if you were omnipresent, omnipotent? What if you were just conscious? What if you were God? Then what would make it interesting to exist? Why would you exist if you are everything and all things? And so what I think would make sense would be to break yourself into an infinite amount of different pieces that are essentially individuals like us, and through each sensory apparatus of each individual experience oneself. So we're God experiencing a self. And a large part of our purpose is to create novelty. Because if you were a universal consciousness that could and has experienced anything and everything that's possible, what would be left to do? It would be to create yourself in a way where you have now forgotten who you are or what you were, so that you can experiencing something new and different. So in that way, novelty would be one of the things that would be a large purpose of why we're here.
So that's imagination.
Well said.
Right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, I resonate with that a lot. Yeah, that's kind of how I understand it as well. I read something similar when I was in my teens trying to figure all this stuff out, and it's just come to resonate with me more and more, that viewpoint. Novelty, yeah, no. As a guy who grew up on Alan Watson, Terrence McKenna, you're speaking my language.
Oh, you want to hear?
I love those guys
Here's
too.
a bit that I heard many years ago. Some guy said this, who I guess might have won some prize. Can't remember, don't know the name, but I remember the concept. And the entire idea was that entropy, as defined, is a process that always takes the system into a larger state of disarray, right? So, like when you pour a tincture into a glass, it's not going to stay there. It'll just disperse. So everything, when when smoke goes up, it just disperses, right? And the claim was that life, as it functions, is literally goes against entropy. And not only goes against entropy, but is in the function of creating the most complex entropy that you can possibly imagine. Because when we expire, the system of our bodies is so complex compared to, say, tincture of something just dissolving in water. The process of our bodies dissolving, the entropy, it's basically entropy on steroids. So life is a high, crazy rate or complexity of entropy machinery.
So isn't complexity the opposite of entropy? Is that
So no, the idea is that it goes from a very complex state into complete disarray, which is entropy.
Right.
So life is creating circumstances to have an incredible process of entropy.
And then
That is very, very, right. A rock just sits for thousands of years,
then going from that state of disarray and chaos, you'd say, and then
And it-
forming into, beings, for example.
feeds itself back in.
That's
Yeah.
increasing in complexity.
Which is opposite of entropy.
Right.
It's like creating more orderly system.
Yeah, I think of it more as
Orderly
order versus chaos. As like the
Yeah.
entropic force is kind
Yeah.
of the chaotic force, the idea that everything is kind of descending into chaos and coming apart all the time, And then life, for some reason, we have this ability, this counter force almost, which is like
Yeah.
order in a way. Not
But
necessarily.
it doesn't come without disorder entropy.
Yeah.
That's why we die, right? That's the cycle, right? It's like up, like anti-entropy, and then straight down. But anyway, side note. I like that. Yeah, it reminded me of when you said that about how, what was it that you were saying earlier?
Well, novelty.
Novelty,
Because
that's
it's
right.
almost like the drive towards
Yes.
complexity as humans evolve, as as animals evolve, we're continuously getting more complex.
Yeah.
Civilizations are getting more complex. Everything is moving in that direction, which maps on nicely to the idea of novelty.
Yeah. But otherwise, you don't subscribe to the official religions either, right? Do I? Because I don't either, right? Just for the record.
No.
No, none of us do now.
Okay, so the point here is that we
Yeah, I'm a free agent.
let's get our commandments. So when someone comes at you, you say, well, what are you? Like, where is your where do you draw your ethics from? If you're not drawing it from the holy books, and then I personally want to be able to just slap it in front of them. Here, these are my commandments.
Make it simple enough, or
Here
you're
we
going to
go.
have a Sermon on the Mount somewhere.
This
Have a sermon on the top of the
oak.
Oak Ridge building.
Maybe we could define it in simple bullet point terms and then change it into something more allegorical after.
It's actually, the way I see it is that it's really simple rules of life. Like simple commandments to self. I've
What do you
got
have?
a
Does
list.
it
have chords to it?
The who? Oh no, this is just, I just covered it. Yeah, this is, never mind.
Play the
I've turned it
I
into
think
a song.
it'd be a good
I've got
way.
songs to
Hey,
go already.
play us the
I'm
song.
organized.
That's a good idea. If you could turn the commandments into a song, then it's just people have to play the song, so you don't have to listen to it.
It's a lot of pressure on the song. But
It is, yeah.
But
pretty good
those are
idea.
your religious songs. They carry I have to have some psalm,
I think there's something to that for sure. There's a reason that people who want to take
Jesus
over the
loves
culture.
me, this I know.
So I like your commandment. So let's start with that, because I'm happy to include what you said as one of the
Oh wow, that'd
value
be great
systems.
to be included. Yeah,
Right,
And I
like-
really like what Jay said about like novel, and like you're also talking about evolution, and that like there's something to that, the life force of creating life, that it's like it wants us to fucking be. We're swearing okay?
Yeah, man.
I can't swear on my improv
just-
team or play
yeah.
character. But anyways,
Just don't defecate in the corner.
I'll
That's
try
we're good,
not
by the way.
to. I've been thinking
Yeah,
about it. And yeah, like it's like they want it's like the universe, the life, like the sun is at this fucking distance from the planet, and it's like it's created. And how fortunate are we that we're the most intelligent creature, that we can stand, walk, fucking do all this stuff, right? And like there's just ants hanging out, and they're fucking living creatures too, but we're humans on this planet. And especially at this time with all this technology, we can record a video and put it up. And
it's so
you
complicated.
couldn't do that in my lifetime.
Yeah,
right?
entropy on steroids again.
Like YouTube's only 2005, and it's crazy. Yeah. I've talked too much.
No. I need more.
I love setting the commandments, and like I really like what you said.
So here's
summarizing.
So here's the approach that I'd like to with both what you guys said, and then we can build from there. And that is that I'm quite seriously convinced, let's say, that all our value systems are built off of our needs. Okay, quite simply. But what instead of it, here's how it kind of builds on itself, if you will, which is, let's say we want to start a society right now. Right? And we're just hanging out. How will we do it? We would start saying what our needs are. This is one of my commandments, actually. Know thyself is through your emotions, and your emotions show you the way to recognize your need. This is Marshall Rosenberg stuff, right? And then as a result, you can identify the need. But what's interesting about societal systems is they say, okay, well, we clearly have a population of people who are going to go hungry because the need for hunger is a real need. So as a result, we have to have an order in place, rules and laws that are going to make sure that we work hard to have crops and yada, 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 to make sure that we feed our people, right? So what happens is we start from the need, and then we make a rule out of it. And those are two, I want to create a distinction. The rule attends to the need, but it's not the need, right? So, example, when you said novelty, right? So clearly it's in our genes to express the novelty in the world, right? And then what we say, okay, well, we are a country right now, we're going to take a percentage of the taxes and give it towards the artistic sector, for example, right? So as a result, we're actually encouraging people to express that. And we can make sure that nobody bullies them from being different from the norm, right? So that's another set of rules. And as a result, we shape so that we encourage that, which becomes the value, the commandment, which is don't burn the instruments, Like we want to preserve and value our...
Well, that's such a specific thing. Like I think when we're talking commandments, we're talking about like the core underlying principles that like preclude government entirely.
Yeah, totally. But it works both ways. Hang on. Hang on. So great. So that speaks to what you said earlier about the God, which is without the humans. It's kind of like if no one's to hear the tree falling, does it make a sound? Mm-hmm. The answer is it creates a vibration, but there's no sound because you don't have a brain to hear it. The point being is that society is constructed of humans by default. So, and considering that humans have to have rules and laws to exist within a societal system, it's inevitable to have pragmatic things like this. So it goes from claiming that it's just a need that can be just universal, which is true. We are all universally have novelty and curiosity and built into us and imagination and all that, right? And then we can build out of that a set of commandments or systems.
So you're saying make rules that support that push towards
that's right, because that's what the
complexity and
that's right, all of it, which is what religions do. Like I actually started off with George Carlin's because he narrowed down from 10 to 2. Remember that bit? I don't know if I should have sent it to you before this so you can listen to it. It's really hilarious because he's like, you don't need most of them. Don't covet your neighbor's donkey. Like that's just doesn't happen anymore. Right? There's a bunch, right? And then he says, he says,
never.
So he narrowed it to 2, and 2 of them were, one of them is don't kill unless they pray to a different god than you, right? That he always put a spin on it. And the other one was, be faithful and truthful to, whoever, is the provider of Dainuki, So it's like whoever you have a relationship with, be faithful, which he combined it, faithful and truthful, he kind of put in the same sentence. I don't know why, but what I'm
too complex
because right. But they for me, I actually want to draw out of, as I said, we're cherry picking here. So for me, the first tenet would be the non-murder element. Right. And that ties into the kind of like civilized behavior, which is what you were saying. You're not going to break the glass right now. Like there's always a liberty and then an order, always within a society.
Yes.
And the liberty's played off of the needs. And we as society say, okay, well, we have to cap it somewhere so people are not just doing crazy stuff all the time, right?
See, this is an interesting point you're touching on, and I want to see if we can expand upon this. The idea, so there's kind of two ways to approach this. You're kind of coming down on the side of our values are downstream of our needs. So you start off with the needs, and then from there you kind of calculate what the ideal values would be to support those needs. So that's one perspective. I must confess, I see it very differently. I do think that values and like true morality, basic natural law, I think that is actually woven into the very fabric of creation itself. And I think that's like a precursor to even having this consciousness at all. I think I see it as an underlying thing that even if the earth were to be blown up, for example, and, all of this society disappeared and then fucking billions of years later, life sprouted on another planet and then eventually got to this point, I do think that some things would be unchanged. One of those things being universal natural law.
They both work hand in hand as far as I'm concerned, because like when I was studying...
I like that though, universal natural law.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like when I was building my cultural story through my manuscript putting together, I actually looked for ethics in the most primal sense possible, and I found it with the bilaterals.
Bilaterals?
Bilaterals.
What does that mean?
Bilateral animals are we all started as bacteria,
like bipedal,
right? No, bipedal is walking on two.
What is a bilateral animal?
Bilateral, I'll explain. So what we started with bacteria and all that, and then multicellular organisms started forming, and they were like sponges and jellyfish. Those were basically asymmetrical. And then at one point, life went symmetric, meaning two eyes. It's basically, and that's when I realized that's when left and right became an issue. Because all of a sudden the animal's nervous system can say, am I going to go left or am I going to go right?
Interesting.
So that's when morality and ethics, and that goes to your point, just to tie it in. What I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, so the left and right started back then, and then it was like, one will make you survive, right? And then it just became more complicated, right? So now we're at complex needs. So yes, I agree with you. It's just that for me, it's just an underlying extension that we can just put into the moral system. And that's where the don't murder comes in. That's just don't raise your hand and slaughter someone.
And I do see that as like taking a very vague concept, like a very far back foundational piece of morality, and then kind of bringing it into the real world in a contextual way and being like, so
exactly.
This means you don't get to stab somebody.
That's right. Which is what all the commandments and religions do. So I don't want to throw the baby with the bathwater. So that's why for me, the humanity element of just keeping life at bay and kind of treating each other humanely, which goes to your point, which is what you give is what you get. Mm-hmm. Right? So I want to tie it that way. But then
what you give is what you get, but what you admit is what you deserve.
Perfect. Works.
Whether or not it happens to you.
Right? And so what we do is
we get away with doing a lot of shitty stuff.
Right. So yours would be coming down the line. Like we set the stage with the general value system of just treating each other humanely, which is kind of almost taken for granted in a civilized
and easier
world.
said than done. Because we're selfish, sexually needy, greedy creature.
Right.
Lots of terrible desires within man, violence and all the rest of it.
And that's where the order comes in. Because you have to clamp down on people, because a need to defend yourself and be aggressive is another need, but it's all in the context, right? Being horny is another need. Being family-oriented, wanting to have kin is another need. There's a bunch of them, right?
And one thing I think is really important, you look at like group mentality, I think there's a lot of danger in that, in what you can convince people to do with like propaganda. Let's say World War II, like look at what happened, all these innocent young people just like, oh yeah, we're gonna kill them. Like, this is maybe controversial, but like it's all this propaganda like, oh, if you're a draft dodger, you're a piece of crap, you're not a man, you're not a person. If you don't choose to go randomly get killed
go fight
and
for
try
the
to kill random innocent other young people, it's most like just so atrocious. And it's like, what if just all these people just said, fuck this, no, I'm not fighting, I'm fucking 19 years old I got my whole life ahead of me, and you want to put me in a fucking ship
No, they
and send me
convinced them.
ashore to go
That's
shoot
your
random people I
propaganda.
don't know?
Yeah.
They convince them because
Like,
most
they
of those kids
convince
go
people
in
to
there
do
being
stuff.
excited about it.
Well, do you think war and conflict are just an inherent part of being human?
That's a good question. I don't. Well, conflict, yes, but war on the scale of like World War I and II, definitely not. Like those are fully orchestrated and completely unnatural. Like
Unnecessary too.
very unnecessary.
Oh yeah,
But
like,
conflict is.
things can be
Conflict
settled.
is natural, I would say. What do you guys think about that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
People need
well-
to feel alive.
Yeah, and there's a healthy aspect to it. Like conflict doesn't have to mean that people, die or even get hurt. Like you can, a civilized society should be able to handle all its conflict in the realm of ideas and debate. Like I think.
So once the bilaterals became left and right only in their own world, and then eventually they went out onto the land and started walking, right? And then eventually down the line they became mammalian, because before mammalians came in, the whatever egg produces the turtle just walks out and goes. But the mammalians started caring for their own within their own bodies, which created social environments. It's funny how there's layers of genetics that came in. There's like sociality itself comes in layers when you can care for your immediate group. Right? A lot of birds gather, right? Some of them know each other. But then there's the extra layer of genetics is now I care for my offspring. My only offspring. Then there's the grandparenting. I care for my offspring's offspring. Or I care for my, immediate, I can recognize my genetic kind of immediate environment.
The in-group preference.
In-group preferences.
Yeah.
So that is a need. So the way I see it, and I've always seen it, is that ethical system of do I go left or right to survive? Now with the tribe becomes, we have a shell, which is usually a masculine shell, right? A shell. Right, it has to, and the femininity inside is the producer of the new offspring, and you imagine the little tribe as literally a little cell that has like and that what you guys were just pointing out is the shell, let's call it aggression,
Protector.
Protect and because
structure.
the other tribe over there, and this is irony because when civilization came into the wherever tribes were, whenever from Europe they expanded and came to tribes had, that's why they all called them genocidal amongst each other, but they were playing the same game as the big empires do. The only thing is the empire within itself, that's why it's civilized, because a large society, if it's good enough to pull it off, can actually pull off peace and civilization throughout huge lands. But the military around it, and that goes to your point of orchestrating it to a point where now it becomes a world war because the shell is so big now, right?
Fucking Mongolians, right?
But it's in the end. And Huns.
No, but I'm making a joke, but like think about that. So many people just wanted to live a peaceful life, and these Mongolians just like, we're killing, fucking rape
That's what
everybody,
happened
and
to
they
Serbs.
did it, right? And then you got to defend yourself.
That's a grudge worth holding on to. It was a long time ago, but it's still bad.
Well, that's just one example of a civilization just fucking choosing violence and winning in a way, right?
No, they put a lot of pressure on that whole region, and who knows what it would have been without them fucking around.
Yeah.
I found out Romanians were, because I did a big exploration. I don't want to get too much into that, but Ottomans came into Balkans, and it was like literally what you said. They were just having their lives, and all of a sudden these Turks were coming in, and it's like, run for your lives. Like, and then they occupied. There's nothing you can do. But Huns and the Attila and all those guys came from north, and they got Romania, basically, because Hungary was very strong. And then Hungary and Europe was protected by the Balkans and the Hungarians, who were just, for whatever reason, just tooth and nail. But Romanians got, I think, the biggest kind of hit. That's why Romanians are usually kind of known to be kind of a different tribe background than most of the European countries.
Really?
Yeah. And I saw it because I was just looking through it, and I'm like, oh, let's see Romania. And then I look, and it's like one after another invasions of...
Yeah.
It's not Ottomans. It's the northern tribes coming in.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, I've heard pretty bad things about the Ottomans, but I mean, you look into most civilizations, there's pretty terrible things going on all sides.
Yo, man, in Niš, a building of skulls still stands.
Some would say that this
Made out of
world has
skulls.
been ruled by a satanic elite since, before written history. Some would say that.
Like Baal. Baal.
Like Baal worship, yeah. But I mean, Mark Passio called it the old religion. And it's In modern day, you could call it Satanism, but this, like, obviously way predates Anton LaVey's Church of Satan, which Mark Passio was a part of. He was a priest in that church, and that's kind of how he got started down this path. But the idea is that the same kind of religion has been ruling us since, pre-ancient Egyptian times, and that this was, if you want to go even farther, you can say that this was handed down to us by the gods, lowercase g, as in,
No.
Thoth, the aliens, the people who gave us writing and all that, right? Like,
I'm still curious about the aliens because we touched upon this. Are aliens humans? Are they genetically humans?
No.
So where do they come from?
a lot of people would say, so if you're going into like standard interference theory, lore or whatever, you would say that, the planet Nibiru, or some people would call it Planet X, has an orbit that very, very rarely, like we're talking, tens of thousands of years, will overlap with our own.
Oh, so the argument is that it's not some other universe or some other dimension. No. It's another actual planet.
Another actual planet that just...
Star Wars.
Well, it couldn't be another universe.
No, people,
if you want to define it by...
It depends how you define it.
Even another galaxy is like logistically impossible.
A universe means one. So when people always say like parallel universe theory, I take issue with that because one, right? Like... So.
True. Well, ironically, like the galaxies and planets and everything is so far away that if you want to be able to zip over Star Wars styles, that is as good in my books as another dimension, because you're just literally like transforming yourself, like
Voyager 2. Apparently, one of the things sent out in the 70s is apparently traveling at about 500,000 kilometers an hour, like twice as fast as a bullet. And if that thing was going towards the closest star, Alpha Centauri, it would take 100,000 years to reach that one star.
And that's still local.
That's in the sky that we can't even barely see.
That's still local.
Like the other stars, like if you look at like Major Ursa, Big Dipper, to get to any of those stars, it's just like, and that's one star in the freaking galaxy.
Well, let's consider something though. I mean, let's say this society right now doesn't undergo a major collapse. It's probably going to, but let's say it doesn't. And we get technology 10,000 years advanced from now, what does space travel look like then? I mean, at that point, it may be a lot easier to conceptualize of the fact that maybe another civilization did visit this planet and they just have...
and the claim
nuclear energy in space, that's your like warp speed, like just like atomic bombs going
possibly things we can't even conceive of at all.
It's some form. They created some technology. But here's the thing: the reason why that claim is being made, I'm guessing, is because there is something about humans that is so much different from the rest.
Humans are fucking weird on this planet.
That's the argument. That's the reason.
We're out of place here.
Even though there's really technically no proof of it.
There's no
other than genes that we have.
We're the weird ones.
It depends how you look at it. Like if you when you think about, let's take like the standard theory of evolution by natural selection, Charles Darwin, Alfred Russel Wallace. Like, you can say, okay, so where are all the intermediary species from these early hominids to, Homo sapiens that we have now? Shouldn't the Earth be littered with, if evolution happens the way they say it does, and I do believe in the process of natural selection, but I don't believe that's how humanity was created. Because, I mean, even just, like, look at the ape skull, like, the closest thing to us, like the Neanderthal skull. Like, you can look at these, and they're so radically different from a human skull. Like, they look like a fucking ape. Like, they look nothing like a human.
Right.
In the textbooks we were given as kids in elementary school, they gave us these little drawings that made them look like humans. But if you actually look at the bones that have been found, these things look nothing like humans. And do you know, like... what a radical shift that is. Like, if you look at Darwin's finches or something, nothing even fucking close to this, right? Like,
so are you suggesting that schools might have lied about some of the education?
Oh God, no, not schools.
Okay.
Not schools.
Because I want to believe everything else.
Yeah, we don't have to make those...
Schools are sacred.
We don't make those kind of claims around here.
They're right about everything, including trannies.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so let's leave the aliens aside because they've left a long time ago and left us with this mess, right?
Have you ever seen the movie Cocoon?
I just was...
Sorry, that reference is so...
Somebody recently...
I'm just doing 80s references all day.
Yeah, obscure as fuck.
I know, Cocoon won a fucking Academy Awards, but you can't get the fucking movie anymore. You can't get it.
No way you can't
streaming. You can't even like buy it on DVD. You can get it on eBay, and it was like a super popular movie in 1985. I can find it too on streaming.
I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna watch it now.
You got
You've told
torrents
me.
are the way to go.
I love the movie Cocoon, but it's about aliens that come to Earth, and I won't spoil anything.
Cocoon.
Don't even watch the trailer.
Oh,
Watch
maybe
the
I
movie.
like to watch it clean.
I generally
Magical
like
movie.
80s movies. Yeah, let me check it out.
Oh, it's so good.
Okay, so to continue from the, I want to build on these value systems because I want to come up with truly if someone kind of corners you, at a party, because I want to bring it to the real world. I want to bring it home with this, to a point where we have it just your value systems. You don't need somebody to come and tell you that you need to pray to some god in order for you to be moral. And that goes for the woke, because they come to you and say, if you don't use a specific pronoun, you're amoral as well.
Well, I don't know if we should label people. If we're going to start a religion, I don't know if we should.
They label themselves, but in any case, the
Not
progressive.
to be.
Let's call. Well, I can just call them liberals.
They might
and
say
some of
they're
them.
progressive or something. They probably won't say that they're woke because that's become
Like,
somewhat pejorative.
What if we
right.
what if this becomes an actual religion? We figure it out and goes viral, and then this is we have video of the original talk.
That's right.
With Peter, Paul, and
That
Mary
is the
and shit like
point.
that, right?
Yeah.
And then they look back at this, and I'm just saying,
That's
this could be
great.
the origin. 'Cause
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think we need a new religion. Religion
Yes.
needs a fucking update, man.
Right.
I want to run a computer with fucking Windows 3.1, let's update this shit. The fucking Bible from 2,000 years ago.
The idea
it's
is
fucking ridiculous,
The
man.
idea
It's
is
all desert
everyone
fucking
is
shit.
invited.
We're not even in the desert. This is a rainforest.
Not in the desert anymore.
We're
It's a fucking ocean thought into this religion shit,
a
man.
moisture Bible.
Yeah, that's a moisture, not just fishing.
The idea would be that everyone's invited. The Christian people who come out of Christian societies are invited. People who come out of liberal values. People come out of Muslim. Any country is welcome. The caveat is that you leave your religion at the door, because in this club we have a different set of values.
Yeah, that's a hard sell though to
Which
these
are-
people, right?
Let's see if we all agree. And going forward, as far as I'm concerned, because for me, one good example is, and that's one of the higher uppers value systems, is the concept of just taking responsibility, which ironically recently has been labeled, because it's gone so matriarchal in our world, it's been labeled as a far right thing.
Oh my god!
Right? But taking responsibility, just as one example, is something that I want to be able, if we all gather together and we have a certain amount of kind of agreements of what we're going to do, and if someone's just being disrespectful and rude and annoying or whatever, I'm going to call you out. I'm not going to there's too many games that get played around this where people get away with so many things. And I'm thinking, well, where's your religion to call you out on your behavior right now? Because my religion will call you out on these simplistic things, let's call them. But it's a value system that's embedded. It's embedded. And I'm not going to do it in a mean way. We can have a conversation about it, but we need to deal with this. Because I want to have a respectful, responsible gathering going forward in any setting. I don't care if it's just four of us. I don't care if it's within a tribe setting, because we always exist within, unless we go to a big concert or whatever. We're always in some kind of whether it's your work, whether it's your friends, whether it's your whatever workout area, there's a gathering of people there, right? And they have to have certain set of rules. And I fear that the attempt was to separate religion from state and all that. And now we arrived at this kind of atheistic kind of Frankenstein's monster thing that it's kind of inflated itself. And for me, I'm all down with saying that, if you're gay, I have no problem with that. I can totally work with that. Right.
Work with it how?
Yeah, work with that. Expand upon that.
The contention. Well, I don't like. Just for the record, I don't like being hit on by men. I just don't. That doesn't make me homophobic.
Does that happen to you a lot?
It has happened.
I
Not a lot.
disagree.
Not a
I
lot.
like
What
the
signals
ego
are you
boost.
giving off?
I went before when I first arrived to the early days of Canada. I went to a friend was a salsa teacher, and he was organizing what was called the queer salsa nights. And I didn't make
Putting
much.
yourself in these
I had no idea. I thought.
You went to an all men's.
No. It wasn't just. It was men and women. I guess you just queer. This is one of those where you're just on the spectrum. That's the plus
What's
in
spectrum?
the LGBTQ, I guess. Right? The queers. You're
The
just
rainbow
You're just different.
Spectrum. Okay, that's
The rainbow, right?
They can be anything they want.
No. The rainbow. I've taken the rainbow out.
right.
I've given it back to the dictionary.
Yeah.
But it was hilarious because okay, let's dance, and let's start dancing. And a guy comes to me, he's like, "Would you like to dance?" And he's like this close, I'm like, well, okay. lead or follow?
Pressure.
He goes, lead or follow? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm going to lead. Right? Like, for him, it was like he could swap, right? And then, so it's like, I can say it's not my jam. It's no different from not being attracted to a girl. If a girl comes and I go to a girl and she says no means no. It's no different. So if you're gay, the same rules apply. Because the only contention about gay people is whether, when they have a child, what happens to the mother who birthed the child. That's the biggest contention. Otherwise, it really doesn't matter. Because if you want to live with someone who's going to take care of you when you can't walk anymore in your old age, it doesn't matter. There could be a brother, father, or somebody who pegs you. And
that's just live and let live at the end of the day. Like that's saying, like, you don't even have to go into opinions on sexuality or anything. Like, everyone can have their own opinions on what is right or what is wrong sexually, and like they're all entitled to that. But to get along as a society of different people, we have to be able to say, hey, if what you're doing doesn't harm me in any way. And people always make this argument and they extend it too far to situations where people are harmed. But if we're talking, consenting adults in their own bedroom, it's like, am I going to be the guy who goes, ask yourself this question, if you want to know whether something should be morality or law or not, are you willing to take a gun and go to their door and be like, hey, stop that? Like, if you're not willing to do that, then it's not worth fighting for.
But that is one of the extremist expressions of these things. It can happen when someone takes it too far with not allowing a certain group to exist.
Like Islamic fundamentalist societies.
Or Christians can be just as bad,
or
ironically.
a girl may like to be spanked.
I don't know about just as bad. Like,
you got no one to hold back.
Was that?
You got no one to hold back.
Right. They're all Abrahamic, as far as I'm concerned. Ironically, Jewish are the most open, from what I understand. Catholics are the worst.
What are the commandments?
They're not.
Jews are. If you're talking about Orthodox Jews, I mean, these people.
Exactly.
These people are as hardcore as
exactly.
Muslims, right?
They're all hardcore.
Then you got the other ethnic Jews who are just like atheists, Buddhists, whatever.
Religions.
Right. So, but the thing is, we get hung up on the world gets hung up on the sex, because back in the days, pre-pill times, sex meant potentially a child, and then you have to take responsibility for decades. Like, it's no small matter to have sex at all. So that's why it's such a big deal. But as far as diversity is concerned on that, whether you're different, it's just all over the map. We're all so different. Some people climb Grouse Mountain barefoot, for crying out loud.
I've heard about people that do that.
The chief.
The chief. Yeah, sorry. Was it the chief?
It was the chief. Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Dude.
It was.
Yeah.
And I think it would be good to have a society that more embraced that diversity, that we have these diversity of minds. And, I think of schizophrenia, actually. I've been thinking about the fact that there's all these people, you see them down on the Lower East Side, many of them have schizophrenia, and they're just completely marginalized. And it's wild how our society just pathologizes these people when, if you think back, you're talking about like tribal cultures and things like that, they would likely have been the shamans in those times. They're perceiving
That's right.
that which everyone else doesn't perceive.
Or at least they find that role for them.
Yeah, so they create a space for them where that can be beneficial to the tribe, rather than be
they're a minority
stick
group.
them over where we can't see him. We're having the Olympics in 2010, and we got to clean up the streets.
Why don't they get a pride parade group?
Well, there's an important
point. And I mean that genuinely,
right? Because, and I think me and you might be thinking a similar thing, because a lot of these.
Rob's awfully quiet.
No, I can see what you're thinking, kind of, because these people, while it is true that there are people who naturally have extrasensory perceptions and would naturally be shamans and all that, I do think that when you add hard drugs into the mix and you've been on them for years, and I know because I've known people who've gone down this road, and I've had long conversations with people on the downtown east side, and there is a point where you're so fucking far gone that I actually have no idea. Like, I'm not the guy who can tell you how to help these people. Like, they're so, and it's not a matter of like accepting them or anything. Like, they're a danger to themselves and others.
When you bring drugs in,
let's make a distinction.
Specifically about schizophrenia as
they'll end up there.
As we pathologize and say, because this person perceives that which most other people don't perceive, this is a sick person. When in tribal cultures, that would be a shaman.
No, because that is a gift, like what you're talking about. And like Naz, actually, who you met, considers herself to be one of these people, and to a lesser extent, so do I. But she's actually an energy healer, and she's had these extrasensory perceptions since she was young. So these people have great benefit to society.
Yeah, and we have a society that does support it more now people are more open-minded about
As a
in
result
Vancouver,
of
we have a pretty
progressive
cool culture.
policies,
Yeah.
right? Like it's not baby water all out. you
Yeah.
know?
I think the
Yeah.
goal for today, what we're coming up with, is we're trying to I don't like the word trying, but like we're coming up with ideas of what the rules or commandments or
Yeah.
what a good system would be
Yes.
for a civilization to
Yes.
be productive and prosperous
Yes.
and peaceful.
Yeah.
Right.
The three
So
Ps,
here's
I guess,
so here's a good example. I think
Core
what-
tenets.
The thing, yeah, and I've got about 9 here. 9. One, I haven't really started. Humanity was number 1 that I really covered. That's a simple one.
You haven't
Don't kill.
started and you've already got 9.
No,
many are
I
there
haven't
gonna be?
started tonight.
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah.
I haven't started telling you guys about it yet. But I want to touch up on what you just said. That's what you brought up is a perfect example of how every societal system actually, and this is one of those kind of unavoidable futilities. There's a cutoff. There's simply a cutoff. So, and I always see it as I've talked about the whole abortion thing. Remember how it's a sliding scale? Similarly, it's a sliding scale of how open to diversity of society is in general. And this is with the homosexual people, with the people with, neurodivergence, if you want to call it. And a lot of times it boils down to how functional you can be within the societal system. Right? Mm-hmm. So if a schizophrenic or an autistic of some, like a not very functional autistic can function, then you're lucky whether the society might organize something to take care of the people or not. But by and large, you're not going to be included in the general society. And that would have gone pre-pill days for the homosexuals as well. It's like if you can't create children so they can go and fight the wars for the empires and be soldiers, what's your use? That would have been the mind frame. So that, right? So then they would have been cut off. Then you see the sliding scale of extremism in religious, and what I'm saying is, and that's my first tenet that I'm going to bring out, and I've talked to you about it, is the concept of balance. Right? Like,
yes.
How far do you push any rule law that is based on the needs? Because once you start pushing it really extremely, then you become a totalitarian.
Okay.
The way that I think about balance particularly is the liberal progressivism, the left almost being like the gas, like let's expand, let's move forward, let's push things in new directions and be accepting of all these different ways of seeing things. And then you have the right, which is the conservatism, which is the, okay, let's slow down, let's pull it back. It's like the brakes.
I see it as liberty and order.
Yeah. It's like slow down. Like there's some things about the past that were good. If we go a bit too far in being anything goes, then it starts to, everything gets wishy-washy and chaotic. So there's got to be some rules to rein them in. So that's
totally.
and how do you drive a car? You need both. You need some gas.
Exactly.
You need some brakes, and it's all contextually relevant. It depends on what's around you, what's going on, and that's how you make the decision.
And a good driver is a driver that doesn't go too fast nor too slow and knows how to navigate in a balanced way. Right? So here's a bunch of examples that you were going to say something though.
Oh, I was just going to say in terms of those two polarities, I like conservatism and progressivism. I think that's the clearest way to define that.
And that's a good kind of umbrella term, but here I'm going to get into nitty gritty. Okay. I'll give you a bunch of examples of balance that we can literally, and this is something that goes with this commandment, let's call it example. Well, what do you mean by balance? Balance, right? I'll start with liberty and order is the first one, which is the one that you just named. Right? How much you allow for yourself to be who you are versus how much we should say, okay, well, don't pee in the corner, Feminine and masculine. Within all of us. We all have the feminine and masculine. You can all be sad if someone leaves and you developed a good attachment with. That's a feminine trait, that wanting to create. The masculine is more rigid. It's a completely, right? And we both have them, right?
No, I fully agree with that. And a lot of people try to ignore that or try to fight back against that because it conflicts with their identity. But both genders, men and women, have feminine and masculine qualities.
That's right. And
different balance, different homeostasis. But you still need both because you're not balanced without it.
Totally. And then you'll see, this is a perfect example of when kind of more patriarchal system kicks in. That's Andrew Tate's the perfect example. Because he comes in with you have to defend and protect your woman, right? But then what that means is that because she needs to submit, right? Because he's playing that kind of feminine masculine.
He's a real protector.
But and he will. But he will
He's a
protect
pimp.
but that it's all on the labels, right? How you define it, right? Because he's in his mind. He's
I mean, he
protecting.
whored out women online and
That's a separate issue. But in terms of, we can get into that. I don't want to get into Andrew. I don't really care for that too much. But I'm just using him as an example of somebody who creates the aura of men are burly. This is why they're labeled as far right, because that's why working out and caring for family and all that is now a bad thing, because it's literally examples when somebody, and not only that he's doing that by saying that, he's like, well, if some guy comes in and wants to hit on your girl, who's going to protect her? And I'm like, well, hang on. Protect her means that you now want to have a fight with that guy. It means you're creating a anger culture or a confrontational culture. Your whole macho thing is to fight with other guys. He's a fighter, right? Like he literally fights. He's a whatever,
boxer.
Right? A boxer, right? So it's kind of like, for me, it's one thing to exercise boxing, but if you're doing it in the name of fighting, just because someone looked at your girl, that's the macho man that I always avoided. When I was growing up.
Because they're just creating conflict out of nowhere.
He's creating the conflict by the very value system that he presents. So to me, that's extremism. That's Andrew Tate-like guy would need to chill the fuck out.
That's being too fucking sensitive.
In my camp. What's that?
That's being too sensitive. Like,
so that's the other balance. So don't be too sensitive.
Yeah.
I can stand my ground with Andrew. Bring him on. I don't get.
But it's funny how people see that as like a traditional masculine thing.
Right.
But there's another viewpoint where you can actually look at it and say that's actually really insecure and really overly sensitive.
Because
like you're just freaking out.
I think the real healthy masculinity is like, hey, guy talks to your woman. If your woman decides to then go with him, why do you want to be with that kind of woman anyway?
When you walk.
So hey, I'll find another one. That's a secure
rather than to So you see how you can slip out, right? And then you have the more kind of like.
What if she's like really, really good at oral though?
And you're in a dark trap.
You have to make compromises all the time.
Yeah.
You have to
Don't
compromise.
do it, sub.
That's called pussy whipped.
Yeah.
Oh, it's more like
tongue whipped. Yeah.
tongue whipped. Thank you.
But there's always going to be a woman who's better.
There's this one girl, and
it's not. It does not fucking matter. It's not worth dealing with somebody who's completely crazy. Like I've been in this situation, and she was amazing in bed, but
crazy is good sex. That's directly proportional. You know that.
I've heard this, and it is kind of true. Yeah.
Right. It's like, how much drama do you want in your life and to accept as
to have that?
I don't want to make it seem like, good girls can't, be good in the bedroom. I'm not saying that at all. Like, I'm not saying that.
No, you can happen. No, it's almost. It's not a necessary condition, but it's sufficient. Yeah. So, okay. So, and then another term is left and right. Okay, which is more kind of like, I always thought it's like if we're rowing, right? So this is another term that I found, is that. Think of it literally as a boat, okay? If you are going downwind, you can just cruise down one line. But life is not, because we're working against entropy here, right? Mm. How do you sail when you're going against the wind? How do you sail?
You gotta put your sail down.
No. If you want to make it up the wind, the windsurfing, sailing, you go left like this. You let the wind fill your wings, and you go in. And at one point, before you hit the ground, the land, you swap it, and then you go right, and you go left, and you go right. It's almost like every 4 to 8 years, like as US has it. Not only I think that they should. Make sure that the government changes, it has to be the other side. Because otherwise you just get hit land. So it's kind of like, give it time. This is what one of the main arguments against the whole proportional representation, where we kind of include everyone's voice, is that you'll never get anything done, which there's merit to that too. So what you do is you allow one side to make sure, like you allow the conservatives to create some order, right? And then after 4 years, okay, you guys step aside now. Now allow the progressives to come in and just allow more people to, and then everyone respects both sides. But we just let each side get a turn to develop their programs.
That'd be kind of cool if you had to alternate between like conservative and progressive leadership and allow
we kind of do though. Like the way that the tides seem to go, and I do think that culture is contrived, so this is done on purpose. We are going back and forth, left, right.
But here that's silly until you have a world war, right? The idea is, I feel that it just keeps getting worse.
One agenda, it is getting worse because one agenda is progressing and it's neither left nor right. It's just bad for pretty much any common man, right?
That's what you realize.
If you're not part of George Carlin's, big club,
exactly.
Then, and assuming all the viewers know what that is,
right.
But the idea that there's a small group of people, leaders of industry that rule the world, etc., royal families and such. But if you're not part of that big club, it's getting worse for you because left and right are kind of just marketing campaigns.
Excellent. And that brings me to my point. What we need to do, we need to take from these extremists left and right, both are extremists at this point.
Yeah. We
have to take the value system that they had been built upon, draw them in our smaller settings. This is not this religion or club or whatever system we're creating is not meant to be a large societal thing. It's meant to be literally tribal, like it's between us, and then we have agreements. And the next one, besides NVC, Marshall Rosenberg, George Carlin, the Four Agreements by Ruiz, what's his name, the Down South. You guys know the Four Agreements, the classic
I'm
book.
not familiar.
Yeah, a guy told me about that.
Right. So I've drawn some of mine as I'm going to go through them are actually drawn off of just these simple native down South American value commanded systems that he drew out and wrote a book about. Don't take things personally. Never take anything. Don't take things personally. Always do your best. Never make assumptions. And there's a fourth one, I can't remember. And then he wrote a fifth one. So that's
already very difficult.
Right? But imagine, it's so easy to just pray to a God and just say, okay, now I've got to figure it out. But like this system would actually make you do work when you're actually socializing. So when you come into a social space, you're aware of what the other people's needs just as yours are. Like you're actually doing work. But as a result, they'll outsource many people who don't want to do the work, I guess. That's just,
Wow, could you imagine if people just didn't take things personally, for example? Like, how much more peaceful everything would be? Just let it go.
So knowing yourself, perfect you said, it's perfect leeway. Knowing yourself is the internal. Knowing the world is the objective. Knowing how to make an observation in NVC terms. And then he said, be impeccable with your word. That's right. The fourth one. Impeccable. I mean, always be truthful and say like it is. Which is technically connected to the George Carlin's be faithful and truthful to the provider of the nookie.
Yeah, it sounds like one of Jordan Peterson's 12 rules for life. Always be act truthful in your speech. Always tell the truth and then always be accurate in your speech.
Or at least don't lie.
Right. I mean, I don't want to cancel her.
Don't lie.
I don't want. That's pretty good.
You know what, man? Like, actually, it's really hard to not lie.
That's very
you have
good.
to save your father from the belly of a whale. Clean your room. Clean your room.
That's very good. I'm not even going to try to attempt it. That's very good. But you see what we're doing here?
That's a clip.
Yeah, we'll use that. That's our short. So this is a good example where just the very example of don't take things personally, we found like 3 or 4 different sources that we can like draw from. There are all ethical claims. Don't do this. But I think the observation is a big one. And as I said, I don't want necessarily to cancel our, this channel entirely because we do a truth day in Canada that is based on a whole lot of non-truths.
Like Truth and Reconciliation Day.
I didn't want to say right? And it's almost like it's almost like the lines in your face, and it's presented as the truth, right? So in my tribe, I'm sorry, but in my tribe, we need to value empirical truth. And creating observations so that we can find common ground.
Well, that seems more and more challenging, and especially in our modern times, you look at AI and all of the stuff that's out there these days. How do you discern truth?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
My thought on it is, I think a lot of it comes down to just individual intuition and logic. I think that's how I figure out what's true for myself in a lot of respects is, if I have a question, if I have something I'm trying to figure out, I put that intention out there that I like that answer, and then I almost have a conversation with the universe. Like synchronicities, for example, are a great example of a way that I personally found a way to find truth, and it's truth for myself, right? Like if I need to have an answer to a question, and I see like a billboard or a song lyric or something like that, then and that resonates with me. I'm like, oh, that's.
So
the
how do you
answer.
know? So how would you know whether that resonance that you're talking about is not a conditioning that was instilled on you when you were 5 years old by some religious troop?
Well,
Right. So that's the challenge, right?
That's a tough question. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's what's true for me in that moment, per se. And I suppose you might have to differentiate subjective truth from objective truth, perhaps. If you can.
Like, it's up to your own discernment at the end of the day. You may have an accurate perception, or you may be a victim of some brainwashing that happened when you were 5. And as far as which one it is, unfortunately, we were all subjected to so much programming when we were younger that we can't necessarily know for certain. We have to have faith.
It was technically a trick question that I asked, but it was, again, the needs and the rules are cousins. The rules emerge and are born out of the needs, right? So whether you look at your own need because you had an emotional reaction to something that happened and try to dig through what's actually happening in your system in the moment versus something that was taught to you that was also based, this is my point, all those rules and whatever somebody tried to teach you back in whatever was your parents or whatever was your religious tribe or just friends for that matter, they also, their rules and laws and rules of thumb all came based off some needs as well. So it's not necessarily that it's alien to you because it's not a fellow human's idea that might have come in before. It's just a matter of how you learn to differentiate between the two.
I want to dig into this though, because a lot of the things we were told as kids, I don't believe that they were born of some genuine need. I believe that they're just straight up things that order followers repeated to children that they were told to repeat that are just poison. Like the idea like, oh, it doesn't matter who started it. Remember hearing that when we were kids, when you'd always get in fights? Doesn't matter who started it. You know, it's
there's so much bullshit.
How is that not bullshit? That's all that matters. That is all that matters. If you initiate aggression against someone minding their own fucking business, then guess what? You're the bad guy.
The way I translate that one is that's one of those memes, let's call it rules, that really translate to the adults or the teachers just don't want to deal with
it. They don't.
So as a result, they just cut it off and say, I've had enough.
Well, it's tough. Try to imagine dealing with 25 fucking kids that are going nuts.
Right, but that's the point.
I can at least give them the correct morality that they can base their fucking life off of instead of a lie that's going to get them into trouble later on. Right?
Absolutely.
And this is up their development.
That's a terrible thing to tell a kid.
So good educators, so this brings to one of the points, the good educators will be able to be there for you in a way where they instill that thing into you so that decades down the line, your intuition is correct because you were taught properly. Versus someone who might have sidetracked you because they just went off some tangent that, their child has to, transition.
But I think a commandment should be the truth. Like there should be some degree of seeking the truth.
Absolutely. So that's one of the tenets. That's one of the tenets.
Yeah.
Well, here's an interesting definition. The truth is something which does not require one's belief to be.
That's right. Because it's objective.
Yeah.
Because it's objective.
Right.
It's the outside world from you. So when someone comes at you and say, well, you're not believe in God? What's your values? Right off the top, it's like, I believe in good balance. I believe in knowing yourself. I believe in knowing the world and calling it like it is. That's 3 already that will just slam dunk them. It's like back and forth. It's like literally like this, and there's so many more you can build on top, right? Anyways, hang on. I'm still unbalanced though. We're writing ahead. So check this out.
Are we on number 2 yet?
And this is Andrew Tate world now.
Excited for number 2.
Andrew Tate again.
Submission and responsibility. Okay, submission and responsibility. Now, I was struggling because I want to find the right. This is all balance, right? Now, we can choose any word we want, but the idea here is
Taoism.
that whenever you take responsibility for something, especially let's leave inanimate objects out of the question. When you take responsibility for somebody, right? Children are frontliners on that.
Yeah.
But you can also take a responsibility for an elder, right, who can't take care of themselves. You can take a responsibility for your workers. Like if you're a military officer, you're responsible for what they die. If you're an architect, you're responsible. You sign off, you get sued, not your workers, right? So everyone who takes a responsibility, when you take a responsibility, I'm turning into Jordan Peterson here. Everyone, likewise. Once you take responsibility for something, the people who you're responsible for, they're in your submission. Because they don't take the responsibility. If you're working for somebody and you do your, part of the work, it's on the boss, manager, to make sure that the client is happy. And they have to make sure that you work for them. But the submission might be the wrong word. It's more, this is more in I'm getting to that, the personality traits. One of them is agreeableness. Mm-hmm. As in, you're not the person who you are letting, your time is theirs. You're working for them. You're not working for you're not working in the service of your own needs. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Or right, like it's a tricky one.
But you have signed a contract and you have agreed, that you're looking for these wages, you're looking for this money, they're looking for somebody to develop a website, you make an agreement, and this is all free enterprise, this is all fine. And I don't necessarily think of that as submission. I see these parties as more or less equal. Like, I don't see it as a dominant submission dynamic, particularly. If you want to talk about government or police or military, then we can talk.
So in that case, the word submission might be wrong. I'm trying to find an antonym to responsibility.
Yeah, I was going to say submission.
It's a wrong word. Where I'm going with this is that it works specifically in the context of female-male. Well, and you have to think of it from two needs. There's the need to take care of, if we don't want to use a negative approach. So it's more like I'm here to manipulate and manage is the normal word. But a manager is manipulating what's going on. He tells you what to do.
I'm sick of this
and then you have another need.
Why not womanage?
This is kind of like a mansplaining his cousin,
Yeah, manipulate. One manipulate.
Yeah. Person a plate.
Think of this stuff.
When you talk about responsibility, I think of being of service. When you talk about being responsible to someone, like a child or an organization, what you're doing is you are putting yourself second in a sense, right? And you are putting your energy towards the betterment of not just yourself, but everyone else. And by proxy, it helps you too. So then I would say also then the opposite of that would be selfishness, the opposite of responsibility.
Yes, but selfishness is the liberty and self-indulgence, which is the kind of, it's kind of like I'm on a boat, there's a captain who's driving through the waves,
Pilot.
And I can... Who made him a captain? You can submit to the boss. That's the angle. You can relax. You don't have to take responsibility. You can just enjoy the ride. And this is in the context of let's call them the family types, the jock types, the Tate types, and it is a reality in the context of needs, which is a female needs to have a male that will just provide the protection while she's vulnerable with the child that she brought in. Mm-hmm. Right? Her vulnerability is submission by default.
And that's considered a very sexist view these days, but I do agree with that.
No, right. So, but if you just don't take it in the extreme version, which is woman needs to shut up and go to the kitchen and make me a sandwich. Like that's, right? If you just take that out of the equation, all of a sudden, because I'm of the thought of, as I said, back to the point, female and male, left and right.
I don't want to be a douche, but she probably does at some point. I mean,
no, but that's when that's when you do for her what she needs. When you attend to her needs, she'll attend to yours. And that's where you see the balance, back to the point, the balance between the feminine and masculine, where the feminine will submit, but it will take care. The masculine will take responsibility, but it will also protect, but it will also give guidelines. Right? And it can come from a woman and a man, too, in their own respective doses, let's call it.
Just for the viewers, so they don't misunderstand us, I think I understand what you're saying, is that this doesn't mean that, he or I believe that the woman should be 100% subservient to her man. It just
Tate believes that.
Well, maybe Tate believes that, but we're just talking about general gender dynamics in a healthy relationship. And you cannot there are roles, and they work together, right?
And we're cherry picking again. We're cherry picking the non-extremist version of it to recognize that masculinity has the power to be aggressive and defend, to build and climb, and to lift something really heavy. And out of, I always think of statistics because it's out of 1,000, right? Out of 1,000, most males, born males, are going to be masculine, and they'll want to take charge, they'll want to provide, just naturally. That will be the need systems. And when you look at the women, a huge percentage, second or third standard deviation at least. Right? Usually when they talk about LGBT, it's 5%. That's 95% on the other end. That's second standard deviation. Right? 68, 95. Now all of a sudden we're in that, okay, what's the norm? Of course, we know, everybody knows what the norm is. What I'm saying is that I'm not going to again throw the baby bathwater just because I recognize the Tate's far right thing as a norm. I'm not now saying I'm with him. I'm saying, no. I want it balanced, meaning we now go to the progressives and say, okay, the people who are minority, I consider myself a minority from probably about 20 different personality traits that I can think of. You know? I wouldn't be accepted in normal society at all. Much of us wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't either.
Right?
Well, it seems to me like the traditional male and female roles and the nuclear family was a very strong and stable part of society that helped keep order,
yes,
and create functional community
and survive.
It seems that as we go very far in the progressivism and everyone can be any gender, and women are pushing to be CEOs and men are being stay-at-home dads and things. It's all just getting very loose, and that seems like it comes with its own amount of chaos.
That's right. It's a double-edged sword.
That's the
and
entropy.
the middle, the balance is what you need to strive for. Bezmenov, the Yuri, the guy who talks about, he actually made a point once when he said that the process, he was marveling at how back in the 90s, the North American university had already been captured. This is the aftermath. But back then he's like, wow, it's gone so far already. But he made a point is the reason why they do is that too much diversity quite literally destabilizes the society. And then he made the point, he says the nuclear family, the kind of monogamous nuclear family structure is the most stable societal structure that will just hold, to your point, that'll hold the whole thing together. And then I say, I don't know if he said this, but I say that doesn't mean that people involved are happy, because happiness comes from the ability to have that liberty, which is the diversity in all of us. So when it becomes too rigid in that kind of nuclear system where it's there's no luft at all, that's when people struggle in that world. And to your point now, when you start opening too much, people struggle because there's not much order at all. So how do you reach a point in between? And I think it happens in these gatherings. We set our rules. I want to set the rules. I want us to understand, and we can talk, we can revise them, we can talk about them, but one of them, and I haven't even, we're still in the first rule here.
No, are we for real?
No, I've already said 3 and...
Okay.
This is the main one. Can I bring more examples?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is actually Peterson's world, ironically, but it's not his Peterson. Peterson actually quotes the psychology world, because one missing link between genes and societal order is the actual natural genetically inherited personality traits that almost act as the monomers or functional groups, if you know the chemistry terms, to create memes. Right? What are our, which is needs, really. And they're described in 5 personality traits. Okay? And you might have heard Peterson when he says, conscientiousness and agreeability and all that. So I'm going to
conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism.
Excellent. Oh, wow. He's not even fact checking. Is that from the phone?
It's all right here, baby.
Yeah. He's like our A-bot fact checker. He doesn't even need to look up.
Very good.
Yeah, I'm getting it all from the Astro AI device over there.
Very good. I'm gonna run the personality the personality traits as not as just a trait as one thing, but rather as a balance between 2 things. That's what I'm gonna do right now. Okay, which is what I was just describing. So the first one, and I'll change some of the names because conscientiousness. This is such a ridiculous term. Well, conscientious means your work ethic. You're organized, you're disciplined, and you'll work hard. Mm-hmm. You're very...
I thought that was industriousness.
Well, it's not one of the main five.
Can
Industriousness
you,
is not on the main five.
injustice might be the synonym of conscientiousness. Can you
I
look
don't
up the
think so.
five?
I don't think so.
Can
think Peter's
you
a fan
ask
as well.
what is? You're not his fan.
I am a fan, but I'm also skeptical that he's a gatekeeper. I do think, though, that he says a lot of
Well,
good
he
things,
didn't create the big five.
No, he
No,
just
he
references
didn't.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he created
references
12
them.
rules for life. though.
Yeah,
So-
but that's classic psychology. Those psychology traits.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to define conscientiousness.
And I wrote it. I defined it as competence. I think.
I thought conscientiousness was more like functional empathy. Like, that's kind of how I
No,
understand
no.
it. Like,
It's about diligence. It's about conscientious means you'll get the job done.
totally.
No, he's looking it
That
up. He's looking
sounds
it up.
pretty right to me.
That
That's
sounds
how-
totally wrong to me, but I might
because
be
I
off
looked
on
it
that.
up. and I-
Industriousness is a trait characterized by being hardworking, determined, and persistent in
Industriousness.
pursuing goals.
Right. So, but anyways,
But what's conscientiousness?
That's what it is,
That's what it
isn't
is.
No.
What's
did you
is
look at?
industrious is one of the other 5 personality
Nah,
traits?
he looked up industriousness.
Yeah, look at industrious.
Oh.
It's in favor of
What's,
my argument.
well, yeah, that's what it is. Conscientiousness. What do you have for that?
Psychology traits, conscientiousness. I don't like the AI overview.
Organized,
A
responsible.
fundamental personality trait, one of the big five, that reflects the tendency to be responsible, organized, hardworking, goal.
Which is kind of
It's
similar.
similar. It's all
Interesting, okay.
So,
It's
so this is why when I start
think
looking
they're
into these and I
the
start
same.
because whenever I see these things, I want to know what do they mean. I want to know literally what it describes, and I find that the terminologies more often than not are just confusing.
Yeah, conscientiousness, it seems, is complicated.
To adhere to
think-
norms and rules. That's one
think
thing.
they make this
Following
more
rules,
complicated?
rather being an anarchist, going against the rules,
It
right?
makes me think of like
I am
being,
an anarchist.
being
Right, so-
conscious,
But I consider
like,
myself
being,
conscientious.
being conscious and being thoughtful. That's kind of how I relate conscientiousness.
Fair enough.
Yeah, like
you're
being thoughtful.
Yeah, like you don't.
Thinking about
You're
the
not just
repercussions
completely
of your actions.
I call it-
impulsive about everything. It's like yeah, exactly.
I call it competent. I'm pretty sure because easygoing
That's
versus
better.
competent, right? Competent means you can organize yourself to do it. Doesn't mean you'll be industrious.
Or it's almost
Doesn't
like
mean you'll be hardworking.
self-discipline.
But it's similar, right? But here's the. I'll run the
They're
5.
similar.
Here's
Closer to industriousness than I thought. Fuck.
right.
Yeah, no, it is. I thought it was way more about just like that is an
No.
aspect of the definition is responsibility and following rules, making sure your repercussions don't negatively.
So here's my question to you guys: how many people do you think, when they go out there online and listen to someone like Peterson mention conscientiousness, how many of them can even understand what he's referring to when even the term itself is completely not defined or not understood? Anyways, here's the 5 ones. This is in the balance term, the way I reframe them. So forget all these terminologies. This is my 5. Cautious and curious, okay? And think of it again as, say, out of the 100 times that you go out to socialize somewhere, are you being cautious with people or are you being curious with people out of 100 times? Okay?
So that's almost like introversion, extroversion in a sense.
Sure, yeah, you can use that word. I'm happy. So this is that world, right? So again, balance means that you make an effort. If you're born a person who's kind of cautious, you make an effort to be social. If you're born who's like super social, you make an effort to also take time, even though it's not. So you have to create that balance where you're not becoming extreme on either end, right? That's my balance example.
So it's being self-reflective, like people who are looking at themselves and doing self-work and realizing, hey, like this is my natural tendency.
Yeah.
I should probably work on the others so that
Right, to
I
balance
can be
it.
versatile. And
Right. So if you're a
Sense.
Tate type, you probably should think about getting in touch with your emotions once in a while, you know? So you can be in touch with the feminine as well. You're not a poof type. You just, is this going to ban us? Anyways, second
What's with all
one.
the Tate reference?
If we're gonna get banned, I mean,
Tate
we'll get
is,
banned already.
Tate is a perfect. What's that? Tate is a perfect
It's an
example of
example of an extra
far right.
masculine
Yeah.
force, right?
Just I use Tate as a
It's
synonym
I
to.
personally, I'm personally not a.
No, I'm not using him at all as a
the
fan.
unholy masculine, I would say. Like,
Yes.
very masculine, but not the good side. Like, it's
the
not
problem-
mostly.
masculine.
Here's
corrupt.
I'll bring Charlie Kirk into this. The
here
reason
we
why
go.
everyone disliked on the left, laughed and
Should we roll
disliked
a
and called him as an
We've
aggressive,
seen enough.
evil,
Roll a
harmful
clip.
person. They called him a harmful person was because he held similar beliefs, which are the Christian beliefs. Although Tate went Muslim, which is Abrahamic.
And conflating
right?
those two is crazy, though, because, that's just people don't know what they're talking about when they say that, in my opinion.
Right, that's one, but they're not because both of them professed religious values that are being looked down upon by the progressive woke world.
They're like very distantly in the same category.
They're in the
very distantly.
They're both religions. I remember knowing a woke guy back in the day whose pledge was he was looking forward to a day when there would be just zero religions. He wanted to get rid of the religions. He had enough of religions. He didn't want to see them at all, zero. So from their minds, Tate is a representative of that. I don't want to call it extremist, although it is. Traditionalist, let's call it, value system. So I can use, and ironically from that angle, Charlie and Tate are in the same camp when you look at the extreme other. And what I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to pull people back out of the extreme, that right, and I'm trying to pull the people from the other side into this middle zone where we can just kind of accept a bit of both. And not pathologize, like the amount of hate that is spewed onto just because it's almost like, it's so childish, really. It's almost like it's football team. It's unbelievable.
I have to back that up. I don't agree that Charlie Kirk and Tate are in the same category.
I'm
not a fan of... I didn't know Charlie Kirk that well. Like, I didn't hear about him until after he was murdered.
Oh, I followed him for a long time.
And I feel like Charlie Kirk was far more mature than Tate.
But it's the general, I think he's talking about conservatism.
Yes.
Which is basically, let's pull back from the extreme.
Charlie didn't accept homosexuality.
It's like from the viewpoint of a left-wing person, they're in the same category, but if they're very, very distantly related, but they're pretty far away.
They both didn't accept,
that's all I'm trying to say, yeah.
But they both didn't accept homosexuality, for example.
Well, wait, hold on. But Charlie didn't encourage homosexuality, but he didn't, condemn people. He didn't say
more religious.
But the moment this is
it's his beliefs that you shouldn't be, but he's not going to go and say I don't want a homosexual waiter or something. Don't touch my food. You're gay.
Yeah, but if his daughter wanted to, if his son or daughter said they were homosexual, he would not be happy about that.
Good point. Yeah.
This is the point because he at the core he had these tenets. He has beauty, truth, and what's the other one? Maybe responsibility. I can't remember the third one. He had three of them. And the truth, all of the truth and the beauty. Beauty was actually in the name of man and woman. And truth is man and woman. So for him, the truth, if you're not in the man and woman category, you're not in the truth category. And that's where he was open-minded, definitely more than, but from the people who are wanting none of that, who want you to accept because the woke, if you don't go along with their thing, they cancel you.
Oh yeah, they're not forgiving.
No, so you can imagine when they see someone like Charlie, who's, even though he was like a total dialogue, but so is Tate. Tate loves to have a conversation. He'll have a conversation with you.
But there's a big difference between these two people that I just gotta get on the table here. Is that Tate was an e-pimp. Tate actually took advantage of women, pimped them out to horny, desperate dudes, and really just contributed in a negative way to society overall, I would say. Whereas Charlie is a religious man with religious ideals, professing them. And we can argue about whether his religion is wrong or not, but I think that he was less of a grifter and more of a...
Charlie started as a student who grew into what he was, whereas Tate started as a multimillionaire who made his money off of creating...
I see Charlie as a more spiritual religious person, and Tate is a way more internet grifter.
Yes. But anyways, putting all these guys aside, the reason why I mentioned their names so that we don't digress too much is to just invoke the concept of the far right, as they call it. Because the far right is not a boogie term necessarily. It actually refers to people who are extremist in the kind of right way. It's out of balance. Would you call
Charlie far right?
I think he would definitely be categorized, and I think I would put, because he's Catholic, I would put it, he's straight up Catholic.
Yeah, but I mean, he wouldn't really...
There's a lot of people who are celebrating his death online from the left. I mean, that in and of itself, you would imagine that they would categorize him as far right.
100%.
I don't think he's actually far right, but
he was moderate.
He does.
I agree with that.
Yes, and he was a moderate. You remember when Polivier was going against Carney, and he was advertising himself as moderate conservatism. Notice how what they're trying to, and I agree with that. Like, if I don't trust for a second that he'll be able to pull it off, even if he got into power. But for me, anyone who's using the word moderate or central or unified or any of that, they're using in the UK they're trying to go reform, which is not at all necessarily unified. They'll just bring the religion in. They're fighting the woke. This is my point. The woke world, as it's gone off the rails now, is being fought by religious crosses. And I fear that when the new system comes in, it'll come with the religious value systems that nobody wants.
I see this coming too. Yeah,
This
like
is
a
why
return to the
I'm
old.
trying to do this, so that we try to rebalance within our worlds. The world can go to hell as far as I'm concerned, but our orbits, I want us to be on the ball with this. I don't want to slip into another weird totalitarianism.
That makes sense, because there's, it definitely seems like an extremism and an increasing polarization between the left and the right. Now it's far left and it's far right, and and it's becoming so much us versus them.
That's the
which
game.
is a divide and conquer. So when you talk about people who are in control, who are profiting from a lot of this, what they
so many
tend to want to
divides.
see
On
is
so many levels,
us
too.
divided against each other.
Like, it's not just left and right. It's like
Yeah.
man, woman,
white people,
like
men,
everything. Like
There's no more left and right.
vegetarianism,
Yeah.
carnism. That's one that I get involved in all the time.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's
Exactly.
It. So,
So
we need to find a way to counter the extremism.
So one tenet is this. We always balance. If you see somebody who is pushing the Tate world one too much, you want to remind them that there's also acceptance world. Someone who's making you, telling you that you're going to pay for it if you don't use their pronouns, have to also remember that there's a norm out there as well. And they're the minority. I'm sorry. Just like I walk into a room and my head is hitting up. Should I shout at the world? Should I start shouting? Anyways, the second one, personality, easygoing versus competent. So that's the conscientious one, right? So it's like, are you gonna do it, or are you just gonna miss the cue, right? Make sure you find time to relax. Make sure you also discipline yourself, right?
So just to keep on track, this is all under the balance tenet right now.
Of the personality. Now I'm running the 5 personality traits under the balanced tenet.
Okay,
yeah.
but we're still on the balance thing. Okay.
That's great, man. That's actually what I was thinking when I was thinking more about just hopping over into the dating world, and when I'm assessing like people that I'm meeting, and it's like, are you balanced? Like, that's a good question. That's an important question. Yeah. Do you work hard, but also do you know how to relax? Because if you're only one or only the other, you're not
balanced,
and neither of those extremes are going to be good.
Yeah. So, and when you accept someone into your tribe, let's call it club, is that person balanced overall? And if they're not, let's talk.
Because help them balance.
Well, that's the aim. The aim is that's how I learned. Like, you think I learned NVC? I wasn't born with it. A lot of things. So for me, it's one of those where we have little reminders within our own tribes so that we have good lives together. Like, it's as simple as that. And the world will keep dividing, it seems like. They're not going to stop. Right? So that was 2 of them. The third one of personality traits, solitary versus outgoing. Right?
So the introvert extrovert.
Mm-hmm. Right. So that's another example, right? Easy. So make sure that you're not completely isolated from the world, but also don't go out there and just have no time to yourself, because there's a price to pay for that as well. Unless it's now, having said that, if that's your strong suit, comes when most males are male-like. This is the argument. Most men are like men, right? So if they want to go and work out and women want to go and, I don't know, clean the kitchen,
Well, an interesting definition of introversion and extroversion is looking at it through the lens of how does one recharge their energy.
Yes, good.
Whereas extroverted tend to go out, and by being social and in these types of environments, they are energized. They leave it feeling energized. Whereas an introvert would feel perhaps drained.
Right.
Whereas when an introvert's reading their book at home, that's when they're getting their energy back.
So just to clarify this a little, because a lot of people put you in either one camp or another. Carl Jung did say that there is basically no such thing as a pure introvert or a pure extrovert, and that everyone is somewhere on that spectrum between introversion and extroversion.
And value, again, know thyself, know what you are, know what the world is out there to offer you, and then go and find the balance in there where you can get recharged. If you need to go socialize, go for it, right? But know when to stop, so that it's just about not doing too much, because anything can become addictive. You can start eating too much sugar, food. You can get addicted to all sorts of stuff.
So this is less of a hard, fast rule and more of like a spiritual recommendation, it sounds like, this balance thing. Like, it's not so much like a set in stone, like, there's no ultra precise defined.
There's no
you have to be
donkey.
this amount of. I'm lost on the donkey.
Don't covet your donkey.
I want to cover my neighbor's donkey. I don't know why, but
Yeah, it seems to me like contextual awareness.
Leave that donkey alone.
yeah, maybe I know why, but I'm just
Poor
not willing to
You
share
don't
with
touch
the class.
that ass.
I'll do the exact opposite.
Yeah, no, I think it's contextual awareness, right? It's just being aware of what's going on
Yeah.
and what needs to occur to make things more harmonious.
That's
let's
right.
say.
It's creating equilibrium.
And not being too hardcore, remembering that, everything is a polarity,
Yeah. And that's another thing. Like many times you'll have, for example, let's go do some water rafting or do some kind of like high adrenaline thing or something where you do a good workout or whatever. So I could classify that as a masculine trait that you're tending to. Right? The progressives now would think that you go work out, you're just, slipping down the, tinfoil hat world, But for me, it is about where you're just putting attention to this need. Yet again, you see how I'm drawing it back into the need. And now we can make sure you go work out tomorrow. Well, I don't feel like it. You remember, like you might not feel like it, but you want to build the discipline. Anyways, two more here is.
I think there should be strength built into this somewhere. It's like you need to be strong, whether you're a man or woman. You need to be progressive and strong, novel. Mm-hmm. You need to do things that are good for you and for your future, whether that be children or your future or the people you affect. Strength needs to be built in there.
Totally. It's very important because to be a moral person, you have to be a strong person. This is something that I think a lot of people miss is that weak-willed people, who can't stand on principle. They will, whether you could say it's by the devil or demons or whatever bad influences, they'll be used for bad things because they won't be able to stand on principle.
Right. And so exactly. So that's another example. And two more.
Well, victimhood too. People that fall into victimhood, I believe that's like putting a curse on yourself. You'd be like, oh, my life's so hard because
right.
I'm.
That's when you slip in the other direction.
Woman, right? I'm a woman. And
don't I know you from high school?
Yeah. Like as soon as you think you're a victim, you're a fucking curse. You curse yourself. Like, I'm Native American and my people 100 years ago
and
were
she was
treated
literally
bad
Native American. Oh my God.
The strength that you speak of, ironically.
Get canceled for that one.
No, but that's a good point. That's a good point on the victim stuff as well, though, because you find so many people in this mentality these days, and I've had to eradicate this from within my own family because I saw it as a cancer, and some of the members of my family, but. It is a curse. You can't fall into that.
And in this tribe, you get not called out. I mean, I'll call out if you're being out of hand, but we'll have a conversation about that in this tribe because I want to make sure that everyone
attends. Or even
attends.
other stuff like, I'm an alcoholic. I just like to drink. Like, get a hold of yourself.
Like, I have no fucking patience for that stuff.
Or people that overeat too much.
Yeah, totally.
I just need to. It's like count your fucking calories.
It's a thyroid issue.
So you see, those are all memes. Those are all memes, right? Like where you set a standard.
It's calories in, calories out.
But how can we put this as a rule? Because I think that. Do you agree with that as well too?
It's per person,
not
I would
having
say.
victimhood.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Well, how would you put strength as a rule, though?
So here's an example. So here's an example. This is what bringing it back to the kitchen. What bothers me about the kitchen issue, about how women wanted to leave the kitchen, is that the kitchen is an entire nucleus world of responsibility. That is the nucleus of the tribe that I was talking about earlier. The kitchen, just like Tate represents the far right, the kitchen represents the world of taking care of the children. It's when they say comedians joke about how women. You say how it's the hardest job. It's bloody fucking hard. The world of taking care of children. So you can imagine, especially in the early days when women would have like 5, 6, 7, 8 children, just to have because back in the day, like my father's mother had like 3 children. She had like they all died because the medicine wasn't as good. That's another thing. The reason why they all had as many children as they could. Because it was all about survival.
Spray and pray.
So once you have that nucleus...
That's a t-shirt.
That's a slogan.
Never heard of that.
I'm terrible. No, I heard it somewhere a long time ago.
So the strength
Stefan Molyneux, sorry.
Like you need to be able to tell your child to behave, to show them right direction.
Yeah.
The women are, by and large, raising the child. That's the strength and responsibility that they take on within the inner sphere
I think it should be
tribe.
a tenet. I think it should be like choose strength.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean
weakness.
that right.
Choose strength in times of
No, just
challenge.
choose strength. Period. When is it
Choose
bad?
strength.
Period.
When is it bad?
Yeah,
to
but
choose strength?
sometimes you need to relax. So if like,
But that's not strong.
Right, but that's the balance. But that's the personality
It's
trait.
orthogonal.
so just be like choose strength.
Straight
That's
up.
it.
Like that's pretty good.
yeah.
That's
Like,
a good one.
And
Easy to remember too.
and
And it's
choo-
not a Nike shirt.
and it's empowering. you
Yes, and choose rest as well. Now notice, both are needs, both are being presented as a meme, as in something that you have to attend to, and both of them can be attended to create a balance
know?
between.
You have to. There
Right
is no
now,
strength
we
without
have,
rest.
We have 2 votes for choose strength as being one of the tenets.
All right?
Strength is a good one for sure. And
Yeah.
it seems to me that a lot of strength comes from doing things which are hard,
Yeah.
challenging.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you go to the gym, you're lifting weights and that's creating micro tears
Yeah.
in your muscles, which then as you rest will build back bigger than they were.
And
before.
ironically, the more
Grow
you
through challenge.
and the more you do it, the easier it becomes. You start craving it later down
Yeah.
the line.
Starts to feel good. You get used to
you-
it.
Yeah, but right?
strength
So
and
it
then-
flips on its head in a way.
And then you have bullet points after that if people. But the other tenets would relate to that, like balance would be like, yeah, choose
Yeah.
strength, but don't go around the streets fucking punching.
That's right.
Punching
That's right.
random people.
That's
It's,
right.
Beyond
it's not like
strength,
that.
Well,
It's
it could be
violence.
emotional strength as well.
oh yeah,
right?
or so
moral
many
strength.
strength. Like
That's
strength,
kind
yeah.
of, that's another
talking
one.
about victimhood is what made me think of that more. Like choosing strength and like you're not a victim. Choose to be strength. Choose to
Just-
be who you could become.
Choose to
not
learn
your
from
victimhood.
Yeah, you learn from experiences, right? And that's
Right.
I think part of we're here to grow, we're here to evolve, and so you win or you learn. Like when we have challenging or negative experiences, we have an opportunity there
That's right.
to grow,
The
to
reason-
become
And to get stronger, yeah.
Or we can be like, oh, I'm a
Yes.
victim. This happened to me. All this, externalization,
Yeah.
like
Oh,
you know what I
see,
mean.
My
that-
mom didn't buy me.
But just to
the
circle
biggest
back to the woke
dolls.
thing, it's almost like victimhood is a tenet of the woke religion.
Yes.
It's disempowering.
Yes,
Right,
that's
disempowering.
precise.
So
and
we're
that's
offering an
Yeah,
empowering
what I-
solution
and that's
here.
the anti-Tate
Yeah, big
extremism.
time. Yeah.
It says
That's
you
right.
can choose strength, and even though
That's
bad
right.
things may have happened
That's
to you, it's
right.
like, look, I know people who
That's
have
correct.
had very bad things happen to them, but they chose strength, and they're better than people who started off with a full house, and this guy
Yes.
started off with like
Exactly.
a 7 and a 2, and he
Yes.
fucking somehow made it.
Pulled it off.
He won the game.
Yeah.
Why you bluffed?
Because they want people to feel weak.
So
They want
he
the-
genuinely transmuted his 7 and a 2 into
Yes.
like pocket kings. Like,
Totally. And notice, so this is great because notice that, and this is why I'm counting human needs as technically our core tenets, as our value systems. That's where we draw our values out of. And strength from that angle is one of the values. And that one can imbalance within being created in a balance another one. There's a bunch of them, so that's why I'm reading them all out, because as you go and you think of the system of needs, you can find a bunch of values that you can just really call out on in the moment. So the last one is confident versus sensitive, which is being in touch with the emotions. Confidence is ability to disconnect, is the ability to regulate your emotions, where you're like, I'm not gonna, something dreadful happened, but I have to get the job done. So I'm gonna disconnect, right? But if you're a sensitive type, you'll go to work and start freaking out instead, right? So that's another example where, and I think what I would draw out of what you're saying about the strength is almost in the context of making sure that you strengthize each need to give it attention, to build each one of those. So you make sure that your confidence is strong, your sensitivity is strong, your disagreeability is strong. That's like how I understand what you're trying to say when you say the strength is kind of like one of the core things that can actually be understood across board. Does that make sense?
For the most part, yeah.
Okay, good. So anyways, that's the balance element.
Yeah, I like that confidence and sensitivity,
Right.
And it seems to me that when I think of that, I think of confidence as almost being able to create boundaries, whereas sensitivity is almost like dissolving boundaries. We're being impressed upon by the world around us, and we can learn very much by being perceptive and aware of all that. That's sensitivity. But if we don't know how to also balance that by creating boundaries, then all the negativity of the world can weigh down on us if we're not shielding ourselves in some way or creating or knowing how to say no or take back.
You have
this
to.
goes back to the fundamental paradox that you were talking about at the beginning of this podcast, which is the idea that we are all one and the idea that we're separate. You can do it in those terms
Totally.
as well,
Because we all got the same needs.
Connected.
And that's why you can learn from somebody when you're 5 years old And then when I said that's why it was a trick thing, what I did earlier, because when that person, whoever it was that might have taught you to now react in your adulthood in a certain way, that doesn't necessarily mean that if they strayed, you stray. But if they didn't stray, they put you in the right track, right? So it's, but that you need to figure that out, right? Mm-hmm. And to speak to something that we mentioned when you and I were talking, and that is that, you were disagreeing with me on this one. Well, not disagreeing, but we were not.
I always like to play devil's advocate. Go ahead.
That's how I think of it. It's the act of saying that if something's not. I was trying to say that if you say that you have to do something, the opposite's true as well. And you say,
yes, yeah.
So
yeah,
notice now, in the context of what we're saying right now, is that this is where I was trying to say, where the opposite can be enforced. The more confident you say, every time, 100 times, statistics, 100 times you go out, or you're hanging out with yourself, you don't allow your emotions to come out because you're confident about everything. So you become desensitized to your feelings completely. So while but confidence helps you just get stuff done.
Yeah.
Right? And vice versa. But notice how the confidence is now allowing you to get stuff done. Inversely, you're not attending to yourself. So the very act of being confident is now fighting against potentially the need to just relax. And right, that's where the balance comes in to pulls it out, right? So they're tied in a way, but we don't have to get in too much into that. But that's where
I have to think more about that.
Yeah, maybe for another. I don't want to dig into that too deeply, but that's my operant conditioning, which is like I train you to behave a certain way by rewarding how I want you to behave, or by punishing how I don't want you to behave. They go hand in hand, right?
Yeah, that's interesting because I was raised in such a different way. Yeah, my parents never really, very rarely punished me. It was more just all about the incentives and that kind of different style of parenting.
So you see, that's one way to do it, but they're achieving the same result, right? They're instilling a meme.
Well, they're achieving a bit of a different result though, because they produced a child that's much less subservient to authority.
An anarchist.
They produced an anarchist, is what they produced, yeah.
That's hilarious.
So, very different than what you get if you were to have that punishing side. Then you'd kind of fear somebody into being more obedient, whereas me, it's like, maybe I don't have enough fear sometimes. I mean, during COVID, I was the guy who would go out without a mask, without a vax. People would fucking scream at me, spittle in my face, you know. There'd be guys coming, you can't do this, get out of my shop. And I'd be like, yeah, I can, go call the cops, like, do whatever you want. I'm just here to get a six-pack, like, fuck off. Like, and people generally just rolled over in the face of that, just like, that unyielding, like, nope, my parents didn't actually, teach me to really fear much. So sorry, I'm not afraid of you. Like,
you're a minority.
I realize that, yeah. I know, because I was fucking everywhere I went, I was the only person doing this, and everyone else would just silently stare at me with their faceless face.
I got kicked out a couple of times as well, because I went 3 times. I got at least kicked out straight up, because I'm like, and it was before they even brought the masks
people
in.
Went crazy.
People were freaking out before they even mandated it, and I was just down the street, like in a mall, and I was standing there, and this lady just turned around and was like, she just started shouting at me. This is what I don't like about the aggressiveness of it. And I remember saying,
I could tell you some fucking funny stories.
At the time, the rule was the 2.5 meters or a few feet, 3 feet thing, right?
Yeah, 2
meters. And I said, and I remember saying, I'm just going to keep my distance. Thank you very much. And she just kept shouting at me, because at the time that was the rule.
Now that's a religion right there.
And that's how, this is my, if I may bring this up, because I didn't, the opinion, this is one of my, not tenets, this is one of my little rules of thumb. Opinion is an unrealized rule or law. An opinion is an unrealized rule or law.
That's one way to look at it. I mean, from a certain perspective, it could be. But that's such like a specific way to look at it. Like an opinion is such a broad, say it's an unrealized rule or law. I mean, that's like 1% of what an opinion is. Like,
well, your definition of your opinion is your opinion. So,
this guy.
Let me just quickly explain. What that means that if you tell me, hey, you shouldn't be drinking that right now.
Yeah, why are you drinking that?
Now, you can listen. You can look at me and say, listen,
16,
man,
it's fine beer.
This is listen. This is your opinion that I can drink, but that's not my opinion. My opinion is that I can drink it. The moment we all agree, this is what societies do by default. When they become bigger and we want to have rules, we say, okay, well, we shouldn't be drinking more than 1 drink. for whatever reason. And then the opinions that people have about it, that you shouldn't drink, gets agreed upon and ends up becoming a rule. So now when I tell you you shouldn't be drinking that, I don't mean it from the context of my opinion. I mean from the context of what the rule is. Don't drink. It's kind of like what they do at work. You're not allowed to drink at work, right? You'll get fired. Well, certain works, right? Like, it's amazing how, and it's all, and everything's an opinion.
No, so just disclaimer, I've never drank at work or done anything. I would never do anything. Not even when I worked in a boiling hot, scalding hot kitchen for 8-hour shifts. I never had a sip.
And just to come clean on that.
Thanks.
Hey guys, can I offer anyone some wormwood liqueur? You've had it before.
I'll have some later, but
later. Okay, maybe during the jam. The jam's going to be the paid subscription.
That's on the Patreon, guys. Check that out.
Subscribe
OnlyFans as well. Fanview.com.
The OnlyFans is just him. That's solo.
Can't get enough of
a lot of solo
sure.
stuff. Yeah, just me and my friend. I think I'll probably die by lunge. Do you think prostate's the way you're going?
I'm pretty sure prostate's going to take
Should we talk about when we start rolling? How do we all think we're going to die?
Yeah, we're rolling.
No, we're already rolling.
Talking about prostates and pumpkin seeds.
Here, let me grab that. I can put it over here somewhere.
The bull?
Yeah, totally.
Oh, this?
Yeah, here.
Suit. Thank you.
All right. So how do we think we're going to die? Who wants to go first?
Yeah, but if it's natural causes, it'll be prostate. No, I'm a big guy. I think it might be heart. Because, there's so much to pump.
I mean, there's 4 of us. One of us probably going to be car accident.
True.
Fuck. I hope that's not me.
That'll be COVID, right? That'll be classified as COVID.
I'm going to take a big hit of DMT and then just...
let go?
Leave my body.
Like Obi-Wan Kenobi style, just, robes fall down.
Yeah. Like Qui-Gon Jinn will be like part of the natural force. Will just kind of still be around,
Very good.
How could this... I should have gone first. He fucking took Qui-Gon Jinn already. God damn it.
Of course.
All right, so where were we? Yes. Okay, next tenet. Are you guys ready?
Which number are we at?
So first of all,
should we introduce ourselves at any point?
No.
Well, we've already had the 3 podcasts where we...
That's true, yeah.
This is the gathering of the tribes.
Watch all the other podcasts before you watch them.
Yeah.
Basically, every time, the more different people interview, every time we bring everyone in.
You tell them 2/3 of the way through. By the way, before you watch any of this,
hey, my name's Robin. I grew up in Manitoba.
What else? What's your pronouns?
My pronouns are Robin.
Okay. Very good. We did humanity was the first one I threw in. That was, for some reason I put it down line, but it should be the number 1, right? Just, be humane. Balance was my second one. Then there was truth. Did we cover truth?
No.
No, objectivity. Objectivity is in the world of truth. Although, no, not necessarily. Here's the thing. Knowing oneself and knowing the world are the 2 worlds, but you can have truth in both worlds. So this is why when you say the way I feel is my truth, nobody can know. That's why you can call on God from that angle.
Oh, that statement that statement kind of bothers me though. The way I feel is my truth. Because,
but it's literally true. No pun intended.
But is it?
Yeah, it is. Because there's the objective world and there's the subjective world.
Yeah, but what's
in the subjective world is just true, period. It's just by default true. It's your subjective experience.
But your body lies to itself.
No. You can still have the lies in both worlds. You can lie to yourself about what you feel inside, and you can lie about what you're seeing there, like truth and reconciliation.
But do you call it truth if it's subjective?
I would. What I've done is that I took because truth is just a concept. It doesn't have to be objective or not. Truth means something that is true. So when I say, last night I felt really sad or I felt depressed, even though I behaved normally, even though I wear makeup and all, all the songs sing about that, this is how I really felt. But you would never know because I was hiding it well. Right? So that's my subjective experience and it's true to me.
I guess I would, because the word... Yeah, we'd have to define it in 2 ways.
Can I define
objective truth and subjective truth.
Great you mentioned. So
I think we should let Jay define it.
Yeah, please.
Go ahead, Jay.
Well, that's what I told you. We talked about this earlier, and I said there has to be differentiation between subjective truth and objective truth. It's almost like small t, little t truth, and big T truth. That truth is what is true regardless of what one believes. That's like the objective truth.
Here's what I would propose.
It's like the consensus sort of reality.
Which comes from sharing the information with others. So the only difference ultimately is that you have more accounts of it from fellow humans saying, oh yeah, me too. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, how would you know? That's the only one truth only, if there's no humans around.
Confirmation bias.
Right? Well, anything goes. Anything goes. From both ends, really.
Well, can truth change?
Subjective truth, yes. Objective truth also, yes. The pyramids can be gone one day. They will be gone one day.
So there are so many different kinds of truths. Now that we're getting into it, we have more categories than just two. We have subjective truth. We have objective truth.
That's why I put truth as the first tenet.
But
so before we get into either,
those are two broad categories.
Yes.
Within the subjective category, there's many categories, and within the objective one as well.
Yes.
Like there's moral truth.
Yes.
And that doesn't change.
The moral truth is totally, and both exist in the subjective and objective, and that's where the distinction. Who is it? Damasio. What's the name of the Italian guy who did the mirror neurons? He defined feelings. He defined feelings as your internal emotions or processes, subjective processes. Yeah, feelings are internal subjective processes. Emotions are external subjective processes, meaning input, output. Output is how, I feel sad, I cry. Those are two things that are...
because you're emoting.
You're emoting the feeling. That's and that's subjective. So sometimes you might be emoting something and you might be... I'll propose something right now. This is actually right on the grounds of trans and gay and everything, actually.
Nice.
When I tell you, I felt sad yesterday... Don't get aroused. Although no, I don't judge.
I'm listening.
He's talking directly to you. I notice this.
Well, you have to recognize.
The fire in your eyes.
Do you have? When I tell you I was sad yesterday, okay. Now there's two things you can draw out of that. You can draw out of that. Oh, I saw you crying. Okay. Or you can understand it from, I'm listening to what your subjective experience of you when you were crying was. They're two different things to understand, let's say, right? But what happens is, and this is the process. That's why I call everything as a process. The way we understand is by sharing the information. And what it goes is that I feel subjectively sad. I emote it as well. And then I have a way of communicating that to you. And then you feel subjectively sad and you emote. And what we do is we say, oh, look, we both emoted the same thing. We have no idea how we actually feel subjectively. That's something outside of the bounds of science it'll ever be because it's objective. But we could agree that, I'm pretty sure that all of us would agree that the way you experience sadness is the same as or very similar at the least, as the way I experience sadness, even though they're subjective, we'll never be able to experience each other's sadnesses or any other emotion for that matter, right?
Yeah, I'll never know for sure, but it seems to be the case. Yeah.
Because you're doing it through inference, through the objective motor, I call it the motor world. There's the sensory motor is the ever spinning process where you wake up tomorrow and the world's still here. The street didn't disappear.
But I would say it's kind of a generic emotion in the sense that, we all know how it feels to go into the shower when you're dry and to turn the water on.
Right.
It's like crying is something we can all relate with.
But we agree. So my point here is that you inherently conclude that the way you subjectively experience it is kind of same as mine. So now, take that and say, when I feel like this, right? And you do something like that. I was like, oh, that's a bit too feminine. Right? And notice how it's like we're doing this. The process is the same as Kahneman.
Let him cook.
As Daniel Kahneman said, when a child says, "Oh, that's a bear," it's no different than some guy who looks at a building like an architect or engineer and says, "Oh, that will collapse." The process is just complexity. It's again that difference in complexity, right? And my argument is that that's how we infer everything. And the world of when they say, that's why you have in a court system the concept of the witness, the concept of we accept somebody's subjective account on something as objective truth. It's not objective. Anything comes out of the court system that it was somebody who says, well, I was there and I saw blah, blah, blah. Unless you were there yourself, that guy, who knows what he's saying?
Yeah.
It's just an account. But because it's in a court system, and as Carlin said, he waved his hand around the Bible, right? Right, he said, why does he have to land, right? Does that make... At which point is the line of when he's telling the truth with the Bible, right? That's the argument. So as far as you're concerned, it could be at any point. You have no idea. But it's because he put it on the Bible, it's registered now in the court of law as a certainty of, well, that's what the court decided. That's why the Hague court decides whether something's a genocide or not, quite literally. If you argue somebody about something, whether it was a genocide, well, the high court over there decided. Who are you? Right? They do that all the time because we rely on the court systems. But my point is that so much of it is derived from the subjective. And from subjective truths, which are the truth. So when someone says, my point furthermore, one more, when it comes to the world of trans, it's no different. Like it's all about having the objective identifiers, objective markers, I think they call them. Which is whether you can prove in the objective world whether your claim of subjectivity is true. So if someone's gay and they get, he gets a hard on because he sees another guy.
Yeah, that's provable.
That's objectively very, but when someone says I'm trans, short of just getting, and this is my point. If I'm like, and right, if I'm just, you know what gay horses eat? Hey. But everybody laughs at that because that's the femininity. Now, the line between gayness and trans is a tricky one, but it's in the subjective. And the point is, and then when the going gets rough with the trans conversation is whenever they ask for the biological markers. And then they say, well, in the gay world, they even say the hypothalamus, I believe, is larger.
There's no biological test to determine if someone's gay or trans.
No, but there was, yeah, that's right. However, in the gay world, they had hypothalamus, and the gays supposedly, they did some study. That's another thing. Somebody did a study. Was it like peer reviewed? I don't know. But supposedly hypothalamuses in gay people were just enlarged a bit. So they would make t-shirts where it's like, oh, the only thing small about, no, they were smaller. So the only thing small about me is my hypothalamus.
But is it predictive?
And I don't remember. But my point is when you go into the trans world, there's nothing. The only thing that there is the testimonies of professionals in the, well, technically woke world of definition, just like they said Peterson needs to be re-educated. Because in their world, they're the self-assigned people who'll determine, they'll talk to the child, and truly, in my mind, most of the people are connected to that, kind of like, tell me how you feel. They're trying to get that feeling out, and so you can see the danger.
The universities are trying to control all the minds of the children.
So, anyways, I rest my point with this all. But the point is that there is a truth in biological, 100%, because we derive so much of it.
There is biological objective truth of like men and women.
Yes, and my point is the subjective. Much of our subjective is directly connected to the certain objective expression, emotionally, for example, right? Every emotion that you exert, there's a subjective experience. And we know what it is. I just can't show it to you because I'm in it. Right? Right?
I'm kind of getting a little lost here because I thought are we talking about the trans thing or like we're going all over the place?
No, not at all. Not at all. So the trans would be for me to say.
Because like there's a danger there, right? That's a big difference. And if we're talking about like tenets for a good society and everything, I
would say that genuinely, just like somebody was born to be, like say, genuinely gay, and they happen to have the traits of a gay person that they can demonstrate much easily in the objective world.
Yeah.
A person who's born trans just have less to rely on other than seeing, say, a woman who behaves in a feminine way. Oh, when I behave like that, I feel at home.
But the consequence of being trans is so much larger of a consequence.
Of course.
Like if we're talking about double mastectomy, if we're talking about people destroying their fertility. I mean, somebody can have a gay phase and then be like, oh, never mind, that's not me, I was just drunk, I'm going to go have a family,
Right.
But somebody who gets a double mastectomy and takes puberty blockers for 4 years, a lot of these activists will try to tell you that they're reversible, but after 6 months they're reversible. After a couple of years, they're fucking not.
The argument goes
And
even
you're permanently
further.
damaged as a child.
The argument goes even further for them because they say if you don't catch it before their puberty, they're going to grow. They're going to grow into the wrong body.
That's where it seems really sinister to me. You know what? And like one of my childhood friends fell into this cult, and
right. So here's my answer to this, and this is from the subjective objective world. I'm willing to accept that 1 out of, say, 100,000 people, 100, it's a small percentage. Just like there's a person who was born gay and they're not the norm, right? There's people who are into kids, right? Let's not go down that rabbit hole. But I'm specifically talking about a person who, 1 out of 100,000, when they see the world out there and they start mimicking, because you realize that you identify in a feeling through the mimicry of their emotions. That's why I created the distinction between the subjective and objective. So when you see that behavior and you sink into that behavioral pattern, you just, and I'm willing to totally recognize that the wiring of our brains could genetically be such that somebody was landed not just to be gay, but to also operate with a brain, because as I introduced from the beginning, we're a mix of masculine and feminine. So you're just born with a high dose of naturally estrogen, whether you're a male body, but your wiring of your nervous system is such that it's feminine. And you recognize that when you see it in the world, but you can't prove it because everything about it is masculine. So, and then they do all sorts of stuff to try to compensate for that. So I'm totally willing to accept that is totally plausible. You know what I mean? Like people get born with some rewirings of all sorts all the time. Right? Like we think out of the norm ourselves. We can relate on that level. We can relate to the trans people, the genuine trans person, just as much as I can relate to myself thinking outside of the box, of the norm.
Well, I think...
And furthermore, just one more point. And furthermore, you have what happens there for every one person in 100,000, when you make it a rule that we have to now create, and this is where the money starts rolling and organizations get created to attend to that. Now you start promoting it as something that we have to recognize. And if a child starts talking about it, that means that they must be trans. And I'd say for every one genuine, you'll unfortunately end up grooming by the sheer mimetization of the whole issue of making it something that is supported by law. You're going to create, you're going to groom quite literally a bunch of kids that are actually just going to turn out gay. Yeah. And then but for every 10th kid that you're going to just groom, you're going to have like 50 kids, males especially, who are just going to want to cheat the system. They're just going to want to take advantage. Or
that's a whole.
I can't win here. I'll just go here. I could just have to say I'm a woman. Go for it. And then the argument becomes totally vague, not because it's a messed up system, but because there is a person who might actually feel that. And some people come to me and say, I have a person who's trans. They are totally, we love her, you know,
what should be done, you know? Should that person get surgery to become the opposite gender? Is that an appropriate solution for anyone?
The impasse lies in the fact that you have to start them before they hit puberty. Yeah. But you can't trust the fact that they'll say what they're. But let's say even you don't, because that argument's problematic for really obvious reasons of just protecting children. But like if you... I'd say my take on this would be, you're shit out of luck, just like I have to hit my head so many times in the fucking grid.
Yeah, like you're just too tall.
You're born into a society that by and large protects children from making the mistake, because too many will make the wrong mistake. So unfortunately you have to wait until you're 19. And then once you're an adult, which is the argument that even Charlie Kirk would have said. It's amazing how the middle zone, when you take the extremes on the one side, on the other side, the middle zone, everybody would just agree with. It's just everyone's stuck on the outsides. Anyways, that's my...
No, you're right. It does have to be about building bridges, and it does have to be about finding that common denominator of just the basic things that everybody can agree on. And like, if we can say, you know, hey, live and let live. Once you're an adult, if you want to go and be trans, go and be trans. But let's just agree that for the kids, it's a little too much. Like, just
that's it. And that's all of the people who are fighting for this. Let's call it. That's their argument. Same thing with abortion. They're saying, let's not end it at the end of the third term, but rather bring it down. You know, they're not. Anyways.
Anyway, we've expressed.
So what do we do then?
I gotta stop
What's the
talking
tenet on this thing?
On this specific one is that I always err on the side where I would recognize if somebody is neurodivergent, because I'm neurodivergent. right? We're all the misfits. We're all neurodivergent. Accept them for who they are. This is the acceptance element.
Okay.
But be careful when we societally start going into a point that if anyone in the room refuses to use their pronoun, you're going to get canceled.
Yeah.
No, like, people don't need to bow to this. Like, you, have your liberty. It's kind of like you're being tolerated. The minority is being tolerated by the majority. I'm most of the time being tolerated for many reasons, for my thoughts, for my size, for I'm too loud, I'm too this, I'm too that. You know, I talk too much, right? Like, that's all outside of the norm,
You talk
right?
too much.
But then you get labeled, and then you're just, and I'm saying you got to accept it, but be careful when you turn recognition of those people's needs into the, what are we going to make rules around it now for everybody, right? This is where the opinions turn into rules. And once when it's a law, everybody has to do it. So all of a sudden, some random dude has to recognize pronouns.
Yeah.
It's like when I used to get asked, what's your pronoun? I wanted to say, just
Canada,
infer it from my looks. You'll be right 99, the second deviation above times. You'll get it right. Just use your common sense.
Yeah, take a fucking
Like-
guess. Like, people
like-
will do that to troll you sometimes. Like, I went to a bar one time when I had long hair, and this drunk bitch was trying to piss me off because she lost a game of pool to my buddy and the whole thing. And she's just like, "What are your pronouns?" And I'm like, "Take a fucking guess." And she's like, "Oh, you know, like she, her." And I'm just like, I just turned around and walked out of the bar, and I was like, "Guys, I'm done. I've had enough of the world for today."
It's funny. It's the kind of getting insulted by something, because who is it, that one comedian? Who was it? Some long-haired rocker dude, heavy metal. He's like, all these people who are offended. You know what I'm offended by? I'm offended by boy bands. Okay, I'm just offended when I see that. I'm just offended. Do I get my offense? No, I don't get my offense, right? Like, it's one of those where it's like anything can offend anyone at any point in time. And once you start delegating it in the name of a certain group, well, then, like, what about the rest of the misfits?
Yeah, I think we have to accept that humans, we can become a very evil, violent creature. And I think minuscule emotions about being offended and stuff like that are really not that important. I think at a certain point in your life, you have to mature and you have to be an adult and you have to grow up. Certain things are going to tick you off, and you have to, I'd say, I don't know, for better lack of a better term, strength. You got to have strength. And if you don't have strength to be offended, what are you doing in society? Like, how do you survive if you're not allowed to be? You can't be offended. You can't survive. Give me a break.
That's right. Yeah. That brings us to, you can think of this now. Watch this. This is where I've arrived, because I've spent some time on this. I'm pretty kind of happy about it. The tenets actually separate themselves from your world of understanding the world and how you're now interacting with your society, right? So far it's like humanity. Sure, that involves not killing. Sure, but it's generic. It's about truth. It's about subjective, objective. None of it necessarily have to involve societies per se, right? And what we're doing right now is we're stepping into what you just pinpointed.
Quick thing though, if someone's trying to kill me, I'm going to kill them. If they're,
right,
if they're
exactly.
clearly trying to kill me,
bottom line,
I'm not going to be like, oh, I can't because of the rules.
Well, that's self-defense, so that's not violence or anything like that.
But it is violence.
But it's not violence, and I want to stress this point, because violence involves a violation, right? We got to look at the
fair enough. It's aggression.
Made up,
it's
right?
aggressiveness.
Because I just want to point out that in our world today, a lot of words, the meanings that people believe are not actually the true meanings of the words.
Totally.
And we've actually lost the accurate picture of reality through the commandeering of our language.
That's what I've been doing right now. Like in the past,
self-defense is not violence. I just want to say
100%. Marshall used to call it the use of protective force.
Yeah, that's exactly how Mark Passio would describe it. Protective force, right? Not at all violence.
Totally fine with that. The idea here is to just define the terminology. So from there on, we know what's what. Like, let's find another word. But what most of the time people do is that they don't do that step. They continue thinking, I think this, and they continue using the word. So they're like just constantly like in disarray, constant disharmony. Because
so many words like conspiracy theory, anarchy, occultism, like
so much.
They take all these words,
regular words too. Yeah.
So we say we don't like violence, but we do
aggression.
Yeah.
Protective force.
In that context,
because you have the right to protect yourself, right? Because if you're just walking around not harming anybody and somebody comes up to harm you, who am I to tell you that you can't defend yourself?
That's
Who
right.
is
Yeah.
anyone to
That's
tell you
right.
that you can't
And-
defend
and
yourself?
if
Isn't that funny
Right.
though that Canada is the person who will do that?
Oh, I fucking hate our
you guys
country
know
for that.
about
They're so bad.
story in Ontario that happened.
Yep.
The home invasion.
That's
where
right. Leave
the
your
guy
keys.
was.
Is this where he sued?
He's
for
getting
getting-
Oh, yeah, yeah,
assaulting the home
yeah.
invader
That's
who
right.
came into his home.
I thought this is the one
That's
where he
right.
fell through the skylight and injured himself while trying to
On the
burgle the
knife?
home, and then
Oh,
he sued
yeah,
for like
that
his
one
fucking
too.
this is unsafe roof or something.
Yeah,
Remember-
that was a while ago. This is recent. Like,
You
it's
remember-
happening now.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
Remember
in
when
Ontario.
Peterson? You know when Peterson asked the question, "When does the left go too far?"
Mm-hmm.
That's a perfect example.
Yeah, that's when they go too far.
And here's how I understand it. I really have come to generalize because I always take a step back to see it from the generic perspective. It's liberty versus order, really. Matriarchal system, dominant matriarchal system, will just simply have more liberty. The order will be pulled back, but it still has order, right? Whereas patriarchal will just clamp down on the order, right? And what's happening here is that and what that does is it says is that the order we have order, but it's controlled so that the government wouldn't overstep too much into people's lives. Versus liberty is the government making sure that people don't take too many liberties. Right? So it goes both ways. So the government is on one hand keeping everyone in check, as we were saying earlier, so that you don't do something crazy, start killing people, right? You'll be jailed right away.
I would say that liberties are created by the people in defining what they're not going to put up with. And I think that's been
Totally.
developed over hundreds, maybe thousands of years
Right.
of like people protesting and like the peasant revolts and like all these things over time that evolved. And then as
Totally.
well as people immigrating from Europe to North America and then basically creating a new government system and
It's almost like from scratch, right?
yeah,
But it
like
would
getting
ha-
away from tyranny and attempting to get away from monarchy and kings and queens.
Because those clamp down, and once they clamp down, the liberty will start pushing, right? But what's happening in the case, because Canada's gone opposite, patriarchy is hated. So as a result, because there's only two, matriarchy or patriarchy, there's no third one, other than equalarchy, which is what I call it. There's the title right here. Equalarchia, which is the balance between the two. It's if there's all women, it'll be just their temperance will just shine and create the flavor of the archy, which is the
You know something
government
about
system.
polarity too is when one side is unbalanced, both sides are unbalanced.
Exactly. The more one gets imbalanced, the more the other one gets
Yeah.
pushed. It's kind of like a spinning wheel, right?
Yeah.
So you have to bring it in, right?
And then with women, it would change depending on the time of the month.
oh yeah. Well, that's where it goes. I guess there's another sign function.
All right, we're back.
I thought you were gonna say, "All right, we're back."
we're back to being back.
So the one tenet is communicate well, because that's a direct societal one, which is like when you're with someone, know yourself, know them, and then know how to express whatever you're observing and whatever you are. This is NVC 101, what you're feeling, and then you make requests. You don't make the demands. You always make sure you have your contingency plan. You're organized with your communication with the people.
What is MVC again?
Nonviolent communication. It's Rosenberg basically created a little system. He always disliked the name of the
Just
whole
for the
thing.
viewers and for everyone. What's this guy's
That's
name?
right.
Rosenberg?
Rosenberg, that's right. Yeah.
His full name.
Marshall Rosenberg.
Marshall
Yes.
Rosenberg. NVC. Nonviolent Communication.
That's right. It's such a simple tool. That's what I drew the tenets out of. Because I thought to myself, okay, I'll take a few from the religions. So don't kill, stay loyal, although we have to talk about faithfulness, because being responsible for someone is not the same thing as being faithful. We'll get to that. That's biblical. And then I thought, what else do I personally value? Like NVC, nonviolent communication, so needs, feelings, requests, and what was the other one? Observation. That's observation I already covered. And then there's Ruiz with his 4 agreements, and there's Carlin dissecting the other one. So that's 10 right there. You know?
I think most things are about 2 things in life: sex and food.
Yeah. Amen to that.
We're talking motivations.
Amen to that. Hang on, let's cheer to that. Hang on, I'm just bringing it up. Now, who wants this? You can say no.
No, I'll have some.
No, I can't drink dark liquors.
No for you? Okay,
No,
here.
I'm good.
Here. You're good too?
Yeah.
Are you in? Or is
I'm in.
Are you for sure? Because
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
drink by myself for sure.
I mean, I want to. It's just I've learned lessons in the past.
No, this is wormwood. This is good for you, you know? It's going to clean you up. It actually cleanses your system. Just saying. But it is alcohol.
And get drunk, it's good for you.
Yeah, you want a taste of it? Did you ever have a taster?
Sure.
Just here. It's like a Jägermeister.
They get you.
Yeah.
You don't have to convince me. I've already decided I'm not driving home tonight, so.
But this is not hard. This is just so little. Just a little taster. So anyways, the communication, and then the next one is... Yeah, independence is the next one. That's for you. Cheers, guys. I don't know if you have anything in there. Do you have anything? Doesn't matter.
I'm actually a fucking degenerate.
You're going for it. Really, guys. Last one, I think, on the list is independence. Independence.
That's like drinking fucking like smelling oils or something.
Yeah, man. It's kind of like
Smelling
a cough.
salts?
It's
No,
a
like
grandma's
Smelling
cough
oils.
syrup.
You made it sound
Smelling
worse.
oils?
So-
It's grandma's
The hell
cough
is that?
syrup.
Like if you smelling like oils, you buy tea
Yes.
tree
Yeah.
and you spray it.
Essential oils.
Essential
is what you're
oils.
thinking.
Yeah, it's like drinking
I
essential
feel like I
oils.
just drank some essential oil.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very good.
I see how that cleans you up.
You see, sometimes something that feels not good actually is good for you.
That's what my dad would say when he'd bring the belt out.
Oh, fuck.
Just kidding, I didn't happen.
And now we enter
No, I'm joking.
the second
I'm joking.
phase of the podcast.
In Turkey, they used to have a
I'm
wire
joking.
in the school, a wire, and
I don't
then
believe in violence
bamboos
against
lined up,
children.
and you put your hands
That's a good tenet, actually. Can we get that on the list?
Rich?
No violence against children.
Yes,
Actually, I believe in that.
Humanity.
No, I don't think
That's
that
common
you should ever
sense.
have
Yeah,
violence
yeah.
against children.
Just really no
Yeah.
violence against anybody, because violence is different
Well,
from self-defense,
no.
as we've established.
I think
agree.
there's a monster in us, though.
Well, let's hear the
No, you just keep it
justification.
away from the children. That's the
Well,
rule.
there should be like controlled violence, like
Well,
sports.
Well, that's
Yeah,
not,
you
how's,
can let it
that,
leak.
how's that violence?
Well, I think that violence
Hang on,
is
hang
a
on.
form of aggression.
No, hang on.
Getting
No,
aggression
no.
out.
No, but
violence is a subgroup of aggression. We can be aggressive.
yeah, no, it
we
is,
haven't
right,
covered
this
this
is how I see it,
emotionally
yeah.
because this is why I always go down to the need. The need is aggression for the body to become heartbeat up, blood pumping. Right, you get adrenaline and ready to pounce.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit you guys with something. If
It doesn't matter whether it's
here-
if
let's
you're
hear
doing
the
it to
violence.
kill somebody or whether you're just trying to protect yourself.
If two men agree to fight to the death and one of them dies in combat,
That's not violence.
that's not violence.
No, agreed. Definitionally, we can agree on that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no,
So
that's
yeah, how
okay.
do we define violence? then?
Violence would be when you are wanting to go harm somebody
It has to involve a
without that person
violation.
being giving you
Violation.
consent.
Okay, that makes
There
sense.
has to be a violation.
Yeah, violation.
If
Somebody
you
doesn't.
agree
Yeah,
to,
you being
to
attacked.
mutual aggression, that's not violence. There's no violation occurring. You're agreeing to use
That's the point.
force and aggression into. If you want to live your
That's
life
right.
that way, I fully. Hey, man, some people want to die by the fucking sword and be hard as fuck.
The word that Rob's been using is aggression, not violence.
So
Yeah,
unconsensual.
aggression is
using-
necessary.
I've been using the wrong word.
No, but this is what I mean.
I think
All
our
the
language has
this
been
is-
taken in so
this
many
is-
ways.
This is
This
the
is one of
point.
them.
This is everything in genetics, anything in physics, because I've studied so meticulously. Everything is so unbelievably defined. In the world of cultural systems like this, where our language is being used, it's a gong show. Complete gong show.
So you're saying it's unconsensual infliction of harm.
Yeah,
Violence.
I think that's a
Yeah,
good way.
when you attack somebody.
When
Yeah.
it's force, like I mean, if we want to define it just in the physical sense and get real narrow, say physical force, unconsensual, initiating it against somebody who didn't consent to it, violence.
So
That's
two guys
violence,
agree
yeah.
to have an aggressive box match, saying you can't hit below the belt. The moment the guy hits below the belt, he's
That's
technically
violence.
crossing into violence.
That's
Right.
violence.
Makes sense.
Violation has
Right,
occurred
right.
at that point.
But that's again, like notice how what we're doing here again. I need to stress this over and over because it's one of the core tenets. All of it builds off of the need itself. All of this, the need is for safety. The need is also for getting aggressive. That's that personality traits where you're trying to balance the two, where they're too close to each other, where you're actually hitting the other.
Well,
person.
this is also truth as well because we're focusing in on defining things like violence so that we're all clear on it. Because then we can come up with some sort of
Agreement.
understanding and
Yeah.
agreement.
Totally. And understanding more than agreement, actually, just to see. Okay, and then that's
So that's where they would say silence is violence during the
yeah.
certain protests.
Oh, I
Yeah.
fucking hate that.
Yeah.
Like words are violence too. Did you hear?
Someone's violence, I can see that because someone's stonewalling you, but words of violence is just not.
I don't think silence is
and
violence, nor
like-
can
it's
words
like
be
in
violence.
1980.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Those are slogans. Should just not be.
Peace is
taken-
war is almost what
Yeah.
that's
Peace-
like.
yeah,
like
yeah, exactly.
1984-ish kind of crap.
That's where it comes
love
from.
is
Truth is a lie. Truth and lies. Truth reconciliations and lies and
black is
non-reconciliation, I guess.
Well, you also got to start looking at defining things like harm, for example, and it's like, you know, I imagine like a chihuahua shaking on the street, and it's like almost anything could be considered harmful, and it's not consenting to it per se, so it's like...
Taking a medical product is also inflicting a small dose of harm onto yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
But what about the chihuahua? Where are you going with the chihuahua?
Just the idea that, you know, we're talking about violence and defining violence, and it's like, you know, and I said unconsensual infliction of harm. So it's like, does that mean that if I say something that offends someone and they feel pain emotionally, am I being violent to them?
And I think this is where we got to return to the sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me thing.
You need
that
to create
words
that-
are not
yeah.
violence. Words
Yes.
are just words. And if you choose to take offense to that, because I can just as easily hear those words, and based on my alignment, and I don't have to do anything. I don't have to raise my fisticuffs. You know, I can just say, I don't give a fuck what you think about me.
So you're the physical
No,
is a thing. So when people are talking about emotional violence, we're saying that doesn't really exist.
It's
I don't
no,
think
hang on.
that's
I can speak to
violence.
that. I can
That's maybe emotional
I think like
abuse.
people,
Hang on,
people
there's
get
this-
offended by that. It's kind of like pouring water into the ocean because the tide's too low. You know, like it's just really...
This needs to be dealt with, though, because these are important
I mean,
things.
there
that
is
happen.
emotional abuse, though, and there's an argument to be made that, because just to give some credence to what you were saying, is that, you know, I don't necessarily think that it's violence. I think that violence should stick to being a definite term for the physical thing. But
Yes, agreed.
emotional abuse is a nasty thing, right?
So that's what you would call it instead of violence. You wouldn't call it violence. You would call it emotional
abuse. What
Right?
you were getting at there, yeah.
I just lost. I had a total train. What were we just talking about?
Violence, emotional abuse.
Pretty much on violence and abuse.
Yeah, we're going to the deep, dark depths.
No, it was the Chihuahua. What was your point
Right
about
down to the
Chihuahua?
Chihuahua's
Well, it's
scared of
just that
everything.
there's, you know, even talking about abuse and emotional abuse, it's like the Chihuahua represents the being which is offended, i.e. harmed, i.e. abused by almost anything. So it's like, you know, there's certain people out there who almost, no matter what you do, they will find a way to call it violence or abuse towards them.
Right. The way that is solved, I think. Oh yeah, I remember. Thank you. That actually helped. Now let's not forget. Whether words are violence, yet again, it's not black and white. The reason why is that it's illegal to be violent. It's not illegal to have words. However, if you make incitements to violence, that's illegal. Mm-hmm. If you misrepresent or accuse somebody of some illegal act, you can be accused of libel. There's blood libels, right? So there's a whole lot of what's the word? Leaking happening in terms of that words actually, because again, just like earlier with emotions, and this is perfect because emotions and feelings were connecting. Here, the same thing happens because there's three domains. There's the emotional that we talked about. There's the sensory motor, which is literally, I do this, and then you do something back at me. It's in the physical ethos world, if I like to call it, right? So, I lost myself. What was I talking about?
How do we get back to... We're on violence. So that's where it was stemming from.
So where do we stand on violence?
Yeah, because I think it should be
No,
physical. It should be defined to the physical. I mean, we should keep the word at its most accurate definition here, because if we start saying... getting wishy-washy with it.
Right.
It's very dangerous to start saying that things are violence, because
No,
if something
you're
is
helping.
violence,
No,
that
okay,
does it necessitate violence?
You're
Can I
helping
punch
me
somebody
here.
for using words?
So
Like,
here's
I
my
don't think
right. So, but inciting to violence is illegal. So my question is, between me actually attacking somebody and thinking subjectively, nobody knows I'm thinking, right? Like it's in my mind that, I want to punch that person. Imagine, right? And then if I say to somebody, hey, punch him in the face, that's actually incitement to violence, and that's actually legal. And what that means is that talking about one, and I'm not saying that I agree with this. I'm just presenting where the lines are drawn, right?
Yeah.
It's all about figuring out where the lines are between these things. And in this case is that if you are inciting somebody to go and steal something, it's also illegal not to say something if you see something that is that someone's robbing a bank or mistreating someone and you don't say something,
So-
you can later be liable for not doing, this is the opposite end, right?
I think we should simplify it and say no violence under the definition of what violence is.
But that's his Chihuahua example presents it in a way where sometimes by default, there's a violent experience. I've heard
but I
that
think-
argument.
Yeah, but that's
I know what you're talking
emotional.
about.
I think there should be no violent action.
If we're defining
Violent
violence purely to
action.
the physical, then the Chihuahua example, if the Chihuahua is afraid of the cars and the loud horns and the people,
So what would you do about...
if you kick the Chihuahua, you're in trouble.
So what would you say about
hitting
incitement?
kids? You wouldn't hit kids. That's fine.
No, that's
But if the
violent.
Chihuahua is scared, that's its own fucking problem, and I'm sorry, and I'll try to help it, but that's not violence.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
What would you
I
do
agree
about
with that.
libel and incitement to violence, considering that they are just words?
Now that's a good
Because
category.
this is my
It's a
point.
law.
What would you do with that?
I don't think we can't fit that into
No, but
the
that-
tenets because that's an actual law.
It is a
Already
little
in place.
more specific and drilled down. Maybe it's not a core tenet, but I do think that it's an important thought experiment.
The reason why I bring this up is because that's literally what they used against the truckers. The reason why Tamara and what their name are for your house
Incitement to violence is what they got.
Well, they train it as mischief. You notice how there's no
mischief.
it's invented
Because they weren't inciting violence.
because it's
That's the
cancel
thing.
culture. No, they were not. But they were. But because they painted them as somebody who had the thought of wanting to overthrow the government, and they were there in the parliament because they were asking that Turdy had to step down.
If none of us here have ever had that thought, by the way. That's a
Right?
terrible thought. Don't
No,
ever
we
think
did
that.
not. We didn't think that. But this is my point: is that, and this is our matriarchy, which is when the subjective. This is Peterson's point with a compelling speech. When you make somebody make a legal claim against you based on something that's subjective, that's the point. And we should not allow. That's the matriarchal element. We don't want too much objectivity where you can't even say you're gay. You have to be straight because objectively that's the truth. That's the norm, and vice versa. Neither are healthy, right? And we have to watch out for that one. And that one's been hidden because the male comes at you and punches you, whereas the feminine will walk around you. It will walk around you, and that's why it's difficult to spot it. That's why Peterson always asked, where does the left go too far? How come it's so hard to define? You know? And I think I've realized it's actually quite simple because all you have to do is to think of it as a feminine matriarchal governing system that is expressing itself through these very different ways as the patriarchy would. And that's where you see the extremism, like as in case in point with the example you gave earlier.
The Chihuahua?
No, the one before. What was it? The one where the Toronto one, where they're just stealing and they're like, don't do anything. Well, cancel. It's funny. I just saw an interview. It's like defund the police was the mantra. Think about that. Then just think about that. That is in my case, I would classify that from a matriarchal feminine zone as an extremist legislative move. Like to not protect your own citizens, some order, right? So people are not going around and committing acts of violence. And then and what that guy was doing was defending himself, not being violent, but he got painted as violent. Up is down, war is peace, and you defending yourself is an act of violence.
You know, the thing about the police though is that they're just order followers at the end of the day. Police, you know, they'll do what they're told. So some other power gets in and they tell them to do something that seems to be completely on the other side, they'll do that too, right? Like
it's crazy.
During COVID, who was ripping, elderly women off of trains and handcuffing them to fucking poles for like funny. 2 hours? No, it's pretty gnarly. Like
it's terrible.
Fucking, and that's the police who are there to defend us, right? But look what they do when they're told to, right? Most dangerous people on earth.
They're following orders, and this time they come from a different system. It's a woke system.
Here's a tenet for the paper if it's not written down yet. You are responsible for your own actions, no matter whose fucking orders you're following.
Yeah. Tenets. One of the tenets, take responsibility. You shouldn't take it off somebody else. You're responsible for your actions.
You can't abdicate that responsibility. That's yours, no matter what. No tricks, no magic. There's nothing you can do. It's always yours, no matter what.
Yeah, and then people could not get manipulated into wars.
Yeah, the whole problem would be solved.
People.
But that requires for every person to be internally strong. That's what's required.
Yeah.
They have to be strong enough to say, somebody's telling me to do something.
call it
Society
out.
expects me to do this, but I know that that's not right.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And if everybody had that within themselves, and this is really the only way that humanity will ever be liberated, when a majority of people
Just stand
have
up.
reached this point.
Yeah.
And so there's no political,
Yes,
there's no political, there's no solution other than that. The real work has to be done.
cloak of innocence for
Well,
doing really
let's keep it
bad
balanced.
things.
Yeah, you can't just say, "Oh, I was just following orders. That's why I did that really bad thing." No, you still did that thing. It's by your hand. And
You can at least own it and say, you know what?
It's all you, baby.
I did a wrong thing, but
Yeah.
it's on me. That would be taking responsibility, and you still take the fault.
I think a lot of veterans have probably gone through this. They come back and they think, "I did do some wrong things. I felt like I had to," but I think
Exactly.
people struggle with that.
Yeah.
People who've been in gangs, like who have reformed themselves. They struggle with this too.
And a good jail system would do that, actually.
Oh, the
that's
jail system's a whole other topic.
But,
because
right?
people need to be reformed and given hope and to be given progress. Like if you're spending a lot of time in jail, you should be like doing things to make yourself better.
But then here's another
Not
question.
just like, oh, jail sucks. Like, there should be.
Exactly.
But what do you
better-
do with the people who are just too fucking dangerous and everything you do to reform them, they're just like, fuck you, I just want to kill again? Like,
No, because some humans, again, subjective. Some humans are born. Is there another red one? I'd love to try it.
there's not another red one,
That's
unfortunately.
okay,
But I did bring another one.
Yeah.
I don't like it, but maybe you will.
Way to sell it.
You don't like this?
You'll do
How
anything
possible?
for not a caribou, I
It
understand.
looks very good.
That's good, eh?
I can't accept the fact that our palates differ. I don't think we can be friends.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yes.
shit, look at
Well, there we go.
I guess that's
just
sick.
out
See you later,
there.
guys.
There goes that.
So what do you
Try
guys
to
think?
give somebody a beer,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you get in return. Yeah, I don't think we'd ever be friends.
Last two men standing. Hey,
Hey,
so
give me
what do you
the
guys
other-
feel? How's
Can I
all
have
this
the
for
other
you guys?
beer by
Huh?
chance?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want
I told
to...
my friend I'd pawn these off on some people, so congratulations,
There you
guys.
go, yeah.
You're making his dream come true.
Dog's got a
guys-
hunt. Oh.
I gotta say, you guys gave me a really good platform to present
you.
these commandments really well.
Let's
You
do
know?
that. Cheers.
Yeah, thanks for coming down.
Shaking.
It's possible. There's a
washing
Chihuahua
somewhere down below. Yeah.
When my washing machine's going, it shakes the whole fucking house. I don't know why. It just does.
Giant chihuahua.
Very nice.
You like it. I'm so glad somebody likes
It's
it.
a bit fruity, but not too fruity.
My friend said to me,
So
this
my
is like a
dad said
real,
about
like,
me.
Eastern European beer or some shit.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay.
very nice.
I mean, I thought 15, I don't know. I guess 1516 is a German beer.
This tastes like the beer we had at that place at Kit's that
It was good.
out on the patio.
Yeah,
I bought it was like a rainbow. It's like fucking gay beer or something.
it was good. It was a good
it's
lager.
not the-
It was okay.
So you're saying you don't like
tastes-
the, it's a gay beer. That's what you're saying it's a gay beer.
No, but he's saying we ended up having a date. That's what he means.
Oh, I
No, I
see.
wasn't quite going there. I don't want to
No,
reveal. Too
I was.
See, this is where you get into that subjectivity.
That was
Yeah,
a good night.
exactly.
We should have gone back there.
Well, yeah. If I
Anyways.
felt it, you should have felt it too.
Anyway, he likes this beer. Do you like this beer?
Actually, it seems pretty good.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah, I like
you're
it.
the odd one out.
Okay.
You see, that's the problem.
Me, I don't know. Like Evan didn't like it. I didn't like it. We both tried to like it, and at the beginning of the beer, it was like, "Hey, I was open-minded, maybe an alright beer." By the time I was halfway through it, I was like, "Fuck this beer."
Well,
Hope that
not
doesn't happen to
there.
you guys. But.
Not a bad.
Okay, so before we read the closing, I just want to give the last tenet. And I think this one's important.
Are we already at the last one?
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
this
I'll
is
cover it. So
Are
we
we
got the
doing 5 or
balance.
10?
We got the truth. Know thyself. Honor your needs.
Strength.
Which is know thyself is honor. Same one. That's I'm gonna put.
Hold
that
on,
one
go from
together.
top to bottom. What's at the top?
So first one's balance.
Do we add any new ones
Truth.
today?
Right. Then know yourself, thyself. Know others or the world around you. Right. Which is within the truth.
Yeah.
And then communicate well, which is the social one. And the humanity was at the beginning, actually. That was the first one.
Okay.
So there's 6 now. And then excellence was just out of the 4 agreements.
Didn't you
but
skip one right there?
excellence, and take responsibility. I would like to dive.
And-
we can go into responsibility.
That's a
more.
very powerful one. I think I placed a lot of importance on this.
By responsibility, do we mean accountability?
Yeah. Yes. I would also say that if you want to have respect, you earn it through taking responsibility. It's kind of like you building your social credit within the tribe by being there and responsible to take care of them.
So,
And as a result, they'll respect you more. It's not like you come in as like, I'm a big shot.
Like, can we all agree, first of all, you have to take responsibility for yourself.
Yeah.
That's the
Oh, yeah,
primary
100%.
responsibility. Outwards from there, depending on who you are, you may have more responsibilities. But
So that would be with the previous tenets, you would apply, now that you have responsibility, you would take the previous tenets, apply it to the subjective, and apply it to the objective.
But when you say social credit, does that mean like we should have like a digital ID?
I knew it, so
Everything
of course,
we
who
do,
else?
and then we could have a score, and depends on like where we can travel and who we can talk to.
That'd
sounds
be-
perfect.
that'd
And
be-
if someone pisses you off, you can just do a big thumbs down and bring their credit.
I
like this.
And my answer to this, true answer to
True
this,
democracy.
is that I actually absolutely love not having physical paper maps in my hand anymore since when I was a kid. Like, I
fuck
gotta
those
say, you put the
maps, right?
phone on, it tells you exactly where to go, you never get lost anymore. So the answer is
That,
yes.
although, that being said, there was a woman in the States who decided to follow the GPS
Oh, here we go.
3 states
drove off
over
the
when
Grand
she was
Canyon.
supposed to go 6 miles
Oh
because
my
she just
fucking
followed
God.
the GPS
Okay, so don't
for
be-
days.
I'm almost there.
Oh, there's that too.
That's that too, yes.
happens.
There's that
Yeah.
too as well.
Gotta
yeah.
be careful.
But don't use it against the people. You see, again, like, it's inevitable because it's coming. It's like when the
It is inevitable.
Dances
It's
with
already
Wolves
happened.
said there's going to be like
Dances with
stars. They're
Wolves.
just coming. You know, how many Europeans are going to come? Like the stars. There's just so many, right? Like Dances with Wolves, there was a famous one, and I feel like that with the AI.
We watched that.
I really feel like that it's coming.
I'm out of the loop on this
the
Dances
AI?
with Wolves thing.
Oh, dude!
Unfortunately.
It was a native that was
Lost in the
talking to him. He's
Mohicans.
like, "How many are more coming? Is it just you guys? How many? Tell me the number. How
It's like
many?"
a colonization tale.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Kevin
an excellent
Costner,
movie.
bro.
Kevin, dude,
Fuck, I'm totally.
because he
dog
was
on
off
it,
the
yeah.
grid. He's
Don't get
a
it
total.
confused with the
He's alien.
Postman or Waterworld.
Oh, did you? Oh, I know Waterworld is. I like that. You know.
Oh no! That's the
I've
worst
seen it.
Kevin
It's good
Costner
fun.
you can watch. Oh my God!
It's on
Why?
theater. Well, I saw it like 3 years ago. Fuck. I'm the baby here.
No.
Waterworld was dope. What are you
90s
guys
kid.
talking
Which
about?
one?
Man? Waterworld.
No,
Waterworld
I
is sick. Yeah, I loved Waterworld.
It
Really?
kills
Should I give it? Really? I should give it another chance.
You didn't like Waterworld?
Hell yeah.
My brothers and I went to the cinema in Ontario. We came out, went to a fast food restaurant, and spent 3 hours trashing it.
What?
This was years ago.
I thought
know.
it was sick. What the
Dude,
fuck?
Kevin
What did I
Costner
miss?
is
Like
the best
about it.
actor to ever
It's
live.
just like a
Like what it
post-apocalyptic,
does.
cool movie. Fuck,
Yeah.
like I mean, I saw
Why
it a
did
long
I
time ago,
struggle?
but like I don't know, like it's the same appeal as
Can't
something
be
like
friends.
Mad Max or something,
Yeah.
right?
There's a
Like,
lot of jet skis.
Yeah, Mad Max on jet skis.
No, yeah.
I like that style of story. You know?
I agree.
It's an easy win for me.
No, fair enough. But hey,
Expensive
listen.
movie. That was the thing. It was a very expensive
If
movie.
you
at the
liked
time.
Waterworld, you will love Dances with Wolves.
Okay,
That's all I
okay.
have
There
to
you
say.
go. What a,
That's all I have to say.
endorsement.
Yeah. But anyways, the last tenet. No, responsibility. Do you want to have any more thoughts on responsibility?
Well, that seems to me kind of like we're touching in on like justice. And that's the thing. It's like, okay, you say people need to be responsible, but then what happens if they're not? Like, is there like,
This is
I think.
Is there-
I think
we're talking about
sexual
judicial systems and-
responsibility
yeah,
is
totally,
important.
totally, yeah.
You have a kid, you should have an agreement with the person
But what
before you have
happens if you're not
sex
responsible?
that you're going to be peaceful with each other for 20 years.
It's hard. It's a hard bargain, right?
but no
That's
one
why it's such
can
a
keep
contract.
those kind of promises.
No,
That's
it's
the
hard,
thing.
yeah,
So what
no,
happens is
feel
what
that.
happens when you break them?
When, hear this one out. Check it out. When the opinion. So let
getting
me build
crazy.
on my framing. When the opinion becomes a rule. No, when it becomes a law. Or a rule too, actually, because it's a sliding scale. When it becomes important enough to a point where it's a law, that's when it invokes responsibility. So, examples through the roof. If you want to marry somebody, you're going to sign the dotted line, right? You're now going from, oh, I really like her. My opinion is that I'll live with her forever and ever.
Yeah.
It goes into,
She gets sick.
I make a
Take care of her,
promise
you wipe her
as good
butt.
as the law. And I have witnesses who are going to watch me sign it and hold me to account legally.
There's
Well, that
conditions
is as
if
good
you
as
So you're going to have
break
to
that.
Fucking grandma's there.
Well, what we have today in this country and in every fucking modern country is a ghost of that tradition that's completely just going through the motions
because
like a monarchy or something.
because matriarchy is like an opening flower and it's allowing for diversity. That's my point. It's in all facets in every life right now, and I think it's great to have open because I'm always see myself as centrist, leaning slightly to the left because I'm a bit feminine, you know. I'm very sensitive. In touch with my feelings.
You're a musician.
Yeah,
You
I'm
were like a guy.
artiste.
You were like a full liberal in like late 90s.
I'm the
and now you've been pushed to being called far right.
I'm offended.
Yeah, how is being anti-big pharma far right? That's what always fucking confused me. It's like, so now being against giant corporations is somehow right-wing?
Yeah, right.
Like, what the fuck is this? Like, I was raised by, like, old school kind of hippie boomers, and, like, their opinion of being on the left is being anti-vax and being anti-big pharma and being skeptical of any monopolistic business model.
It's so
we might
crazy.
all be liberals that are lost in the nonsense of modern day.
We're all about to have a sick jam. I mean, we're, like...
Yeah.
Yeah, like when it was Ronald Reagan and, you know, like, they weren't really doing that. Like
we're fucking here
Or
drinking,
Bush.
smoking weed, about to have a sick jam with a handpan drum. Like, we're definitely not...
Hey, is that the thing?
Yeah.
Like conservative was kind of
it's gonna be so
George
fun.
Bush,
It is
not
like,
George
yeah.
W. Bush, but George Bush, like kind of like that CIA, like kind
But
of
it's all the same.
religion,
Guys,
ultra religious.
we all know
I
by
never looked
now.
into that guy.
We all know by now that there's a big branch, there's a big log running this whole thing, and all of these puppets are just little branches, the sprouts of this thing that is just doing its thing. They're making us just fight over left and right. And I'm thinking in my relationship with my significant other, we listen to my voice and we listen to her voice. We listen to both
Careful.
voices. Like how hard is it? Like there's no need.
Apparently, it's pretty hard from what I've heard, actually.
Well, I can tell you that in my family,
Yeah,
and this is as far as
that's
I'll
what she said.
let my family, let my family closet,
not mature.
let my family closet skeletons leak. Is that all I can say is that in my experience, my elderlies on the male side did not have a single word. They have a single word.
What do you mean? Like they didn't have power?
Zero.
They had no
Wow.
say.
That's what I
Really?
did. I'm telling you, like Balkans and the Mediterraneans. This goes for the Islamists, all the Abrahamics, actually, in a way. It's well, no, actually, no. I take that completely back. Forget what I just said. The Balkans, especially Mediterraneans, the warmer down there. It's superbly matriarchal. Superbly. They even have a saying. The guy is the guy. The man does the work or turns, but where he turns and where he does the work is done by the woman. She turns the head. It's literally an expression.
Yeah.
She's the
So would
brain.
that-
he's
She's
the
the
body.
she's the boss.
So would
and that brings us
fall
to governance,
into Islamic
matriarchy.
Turkish culture by chance, or
Turkish, Serbian, it's all the same. They've been invading each other forever. Armenians are the same. Jewish are the same.
But in,
That's
but in
technically-
Islamic culture, it's definitely hard to describe that as
Islamists
matriarchal
went
anyway,
patriarchal.
right?
I think they went patriarchal because they're like, we're going to
They're
have 7
hardcore
wives.
patriarchal.
So you can see the divide now. But they're both Abrahamic. You can see how far it can go if they left unchecked.
But wait, hold on. So what religion is the matriarchal one then? Christian?
Yeah. Orthodox, Eastern, not Jewish.
Eastern Orthodox.
Eastern Orthodox,
Yeah.
in my opinion, Greeks too.
Because even in
Like, think of the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding. All the women.
so
running the
Orthodox,
show.
Catholic Orthodox
Catholic Orthodox. By
is
and
what
large.
it's defined, right?
Yes,
Greek
whereas
Orthodox
Christianity-
is Catholic Orthodox.
That's what the Catholic Christians would be more patriarchal, I would say.
Catholic Christian.
But it's also mixed, right? But it's also regional. It doesn't necessarily have to be per religion.
Catholic Christians and Catholic Orthodox are two separate categories in that?
Catholic
Like-
Christians are the Roman Empire on the West,
Okay.
right? The people who are the
And then you're talking
Canadians.
like
yeah,
Russia
it's the
and like,
Roman Catholic Church.
No. The Brits did the Protestantism. Protestants are the
Like
the
King
West
Henry
Wing
VIII.
Orthodox. So they broke off over in the West.
Church of England.
Orthodox broke off, and then the Christians from Rome are hardcore patriots.
But is the matriarchal...
which is hated by the woke.
But is the matriarchal tendency of these Balkan regions attributed to their flavor of Christianity, or is it more of a
I think
cultural
it could be
thing?
really. This is what I'm saying. It could be also regional.
Yeah.
I call it because it's warmer climates. It's the Mediterraneans. People.
Because like traditional, I don't know a ton about Orthodox Christianity.
doesn't have to
I
necessarily-
have a friend that is of that belief.
It doesn't
but-
necessarily have to because Turks are very much Muslim. It is, anyways. Yeah.
But it's a pretty patriarchal religion, isn't it? Orthodox Christianity? I thought it was like.
No. Oh yeah. On its face, it presents itself, but that's the guy being plumped.
Interesting.
There's nothing like masculine about a kind of like a priest guy who sings.
I guess it is interesting in Christianity, though, that priests aren't allowed to have families or marry or reproduce.
Yeah,
right?
what's up
In
with
Orthodox,
that?
they are. So it's
See,
more
this is
open.
where I think the Jews had it right, you know? Why would you stop the smartest people in your society, the most well-read people, from reproducing? What are you trying to do?
What was there?
Well, Jews, if you want to be a rabbi, you get to fuck. I mean, like, you don't have to restrain yourself.
So that's Orthodox then, because the Serbs or the Greeks and all that, they can marry. Whereas the Catholic, this is what I meant earlier when I said the Catholics are actually very strict. Islamists and Catholics, and then you have the Jews and the Orthodox in between. But there's strictness within all of them still, right? Anyways,
there's so many different flavors within those two.
Let's try to offend every group on the
No, we're inclusive of offending of everyone.
If you're not willing to be offended, you're watching the wrong show.
We offend everyone equally.
That should be the title of the show.
We should probably give ourselves another 15, 20.
A lot of people appreciate that.
Right?
Yeah, some people can take it. Some people have thick skin. There's a growing market for that.
That's another thing you should, if you're, back to the personality traits, if you're a type of person who is kind of easily kind of sensitive, you have to learn to grow a thicker skin because the most of the world needs to, get on with their bigotries, right? I don't call it bigotries, I'm being facetious. Similarly, the other ways, if you're a person who really wants to analyze everything, for example, you have to also learn to hold back because some people can't handle too much. Like it goes both ways, right? Anyways, last tenet, guys. And then we'll do a closing.
I thought that was a closing.
No. We're far from done.
7-hour podcast.
No, I've mentioned it earlier. So the last one is independence, okay? But I don't mean in the personal independence context. I mean it in the society or group context. Because one thing that and we've talked about this so much, is that capturing, when something actually comes of the genuine needs of the people underneath, and it becomes rule or law-based system, it usually gets captured by some larger entities that are not going away. It does. The Pride Parade got totally hijacked. The Serbian students movement totally got hijacked in the 90s.
The climate movement.
The woke movement, all the Me Too movement.
We haven't talked about climate change
LGBT.
once.
What was that?
We haven't talked about climate change yet.
Yeah.
That's another 2
not in the
hours.
tenets.
Not in the tenets.
Did we touch on that on ours?
No.
That's a topic I could fucking go off on.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
All I can say is that let's
I've
not
been waiting to that for
Can't get a fucking bag in your shop nowadays and carry all your shit.
I went from
like a
getting,
fucking pleb.
plastic straws and paper packaging.
everything's
to paper
wrapped in
straws and
plastic.
packaging.
See some girl, some fucking teenage girl, like, I'm so good for the environment. It's like fucking paper straw. And then they're just drinking plastic cups like 6 times a day. Tim Hortons, bubble tea, fucking
go
No
bullshit.
plastic
Asian
bags
stuff
at grocery
especially.
stores, except for the broccoli.
Oh yeah, I got my paper straw and then garbage can.
You know what it is? It's a
I'm ready.
cult mockery at its highest form. That's what it really is.
when
We
you
all go through the motions. Oh God!
when
what a
it
laugh we're
becomes
having.
absurd, that's when you have to wonder what has become extremist. That's my kind of like go-to. But it's the reason why I'm pointing this out is that independence in the context of the societal group, for example, that we just created. Like, this is an independent entity. Like, I'm not interested in whatever we're creating tonight right here to be influenced by some
What happened
foreign
here
interest.
tonight is going to be in a plate glass window. Fucking someday.
About a couple of decades from now.
So
bro.
by
I was
independence,
saying 1,000 years.
we have the right to use protective force.
Yeah, totally.
I think so.
Yeah, 100%.
You have to.
That's right. That's that's the right to be able to get aggressive if you need to.
Right.
But it's not actually aggressive. Protective force is the opposite of aggressive.
Aggression in the context of where you have to.
Well, you're not aggressing, right?
Okay,
You're defending.
it's,
Those are two polarities.
You might need, yeah, fair enough. To become physically, actively involved in going against some grain over there.
You just call it physical force. Physical force can take many forms. It can take aggressive form. It can take defensive
Use of physical
form.
force. Yeah, of course.
Ruthless
Physical force.
aggression.
That's all right. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, no, forget aggression. Aggression involves actually being
Because
aggressive.
independence requires defending.
Because
You'll
it's always
defend
a
your
loop.
independence,
It's
right?
It does
the-
because groups will try to take you over. There's always some group that wants to try to
To
take you.
conclude this is the ability
Jay
to have the
does
aggression
sit
within you.
Try this chair just for the end.
The ability to be able to own your aggression, be able to hold it, and also to exert it when you need. Similarly, being able to have your sensitivity, and then be able to get sensitive if you need to, and then withhold it. The ability to attend to any need that you need to attend to, that in order to be able to exert it in the world out there. to some degree in the right context. So aggression in the, say, context of protective force rather than violence, right?
But protective force isn't aggression.
No, it's not. It doesn't. No.
I'm sorry for being such a stick.
It can involve it though. It can involve aggression.
Protective force?
100%. If someone's attacking my child and he's being like really aggressive with my child,
That's not you being aggressive against them. That's defensive force.
no. But aggression is. So what's aggression?
Aggression, like, okay, for example, in a video
What's the
game.
difference between aggression, violence, and protective force?
Okay, so violence involves some sort of violation. Violence would mean that,
We
for example,
agreed on that
we
already.
already agreed on
Okay.
violence.
What's
right?
aggression?
So if we're going into aggression means that you are aggressing against someone. So for example, in video game terminology, if you're in like an MMO, you would say when an enemy locks onto you and then starts coming towards you to attack you, you would say, "Oh, I'm being aggroed." You know,
That was his example earlier. When
that's
someone's
aggression,
coming at
right?
him, if someone attacks you, you have to defend yourself.
Yeah, but the person
So
attacking is
he-
aggressing. The person defending is not aggressing. He's defending.
What's the difference between
So aggressing is
aggressive and defending
oh, I see. I get it.
being aggressive involves actually like being the initiator.
It's
right?
the physical
Like,
force that started
I
it
don't
first.
know about that.
It's the physical force that
I
started
think you
it
need
first.
aggression to defend yourself.
It's
I, think, I see that as defensive
but
force,
it's-
not aggression.
also-
Aggression is aggressive.
It's the physical. It's the
You have
physical.
to initiate
It's the
an aggression.
it's the agent. It's the physical force that started it first. It's the one that
That's
came
fair.
in first.
That's fair to say. Yeah.
I
Okay,
like
is that
how
fair?
you have it seems to me like a strong discipline on what a word actually means.
No, but
Because
this is
I want to
important.
understand
Yeah,
the
this is
world,
important.
right? And to
Yeah.
do that, I have to have my language be exact because I think of the world in
Great.
terms of words. So if my
Yeah.
words become obfuscated, then all of a sudden I've got all these jelly blobs moving around and I can't actually
That's
figure
true.
out what my world is made of, right? So
Yeah.
I do think there's a real importance in that discipline to define
here's an example.
But it's like if you're trying to figure out a math problem, it's like I need to know that 4 is 4.
Like algebra,
or 4
yeah, you have-
times 10 is 40.
Yeah.
Or it's by 100, it's 400. And it's like that's
yeah, you
what
have
the
to
word
establish your
means.
constants and be
I
like,
like
oh,
that.
this is that. You know,
I respect that, yeah.
Thank you.
So from that angle, if you wanted to go into a restaurant and somebody wanted to just violently attack you and push you out, that would be violence.
That'd be violence. Yeah.
If a person believed that you're not allowed because you didn't take a medical product, that would be aggression. Because they know not what they do. But they're advancing at me nevertheless.
Well, it's an interesting situation because you could, on one hand, say the restaurant is their property and you're there on their goodwill. So, in a sense, if you.
But for them, what they're doing is correct. This is my point. Because violence is when you're, by definition, what did is that violence is when you're acting out of agreed set upon rules. You're crossing the.
Yeah, there
you're
has to
hitting
be a
the line.
violation. So, if you say that I'm a restaurant and I'm letting people
so
come
a person
in.
who's kicking you out, there's no violation. Thus, there's no violence.
They reserve the right
they
to
can
serve
be-
whoever they want as a restaurant.
But if they get physical with you, it's not physical force, it's aggression. Because they started it first, and they're convinced that they're right.
It would be
Right?
very situation dependent, depending on what's happening. 'Cause,
Fair
for
enough.
example, if
So-
I go into a restaurant and I'm
Yeah.
belligerent and I look like
Yes.
I'm going to initiate some sort of aggression,
No,
and they
you just want to
defending their
eat.
patron,
You just want to eat.
I just want to eat.
But because you're not budging, they decide to physically shove you and throw you onto the floor. And they're justified because you're not supposed to be there because you didn't take the medical.
If it goes way too far and I'm trying to come into their restaurant and they're saying we don't want to serve you as a customer because this is our restaurant and I just won't
No, but
budge,
yeah,
at a certain point they do have the right to remove me from their
But would that
property.
be
I do
considered?
believe,
No,
yeah.
I'm just trying to do the definition because we're going from violence, in which case they're not being violent because they're doing something that's by rules and laws.
wouldn't say it's violent
right?
because
but they're just being aggressive because they're coming at me. I'm not coming.
But
at
I
you.
wouldn't say it's aggressive either.
Independence? Is this part of the independence?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Not really.
Yeah, we've gone off tilter.
Yeah.
But just to say, it's their home turf in this situation, so it's a form of defense, in my opinion. That's all. I'm saying.
Totally. I'm just trying to. It's 3 tiers. Let's just agree. There's 3 tiers. There's violence, aggression, and use of physical force. And I agree with you. What I should have used earlier was physical force.
Violence and aggression are very often
Very close.
going to be together.
Intermingled. Totally. The independence that I was going for is that you don't want your tribe to be compromised and taken over. So the tenets that you create within your tribe, you need to make the tribe independent. Meaning that when you go out there right now and you hang out with your friends and you start a conversation like this, you're not speaking in the name of me. You're creating a new society over there that's independent, a new tribe. And the way to fight, this is my point with this, how to fight against this globalist installment of these divisive narratives and tenets, they're all divisive, is to go tribally against them and spread as pods. Quite literally as pods. It's always independent pods that are not connected. They use the same tenets, but they're their own entities.
Yeah, like this is like the Freedom Cells project or whatever that thing was.
Sounds great. Yeah.
Fuck, I wish I had a link. This is so long ago. James Corbett got me wise to this like 6 years ago, but there was this like Freedom Cell thing or something where it's like there was this core group on the internet, but then they encouraged you to create a cell within your city or whatever, wherever you were, and it was... I never looked into it enough.
So just so you guys know, going forward...
It sounded super cool. I wish I'd fucking went into it a bit more.
We just created. That's what I'm doing right now. So from now on...
It's not too late.
And it's been good with you guys. And if it doesn't... Like, if you want to follow another ideology, then decide you want to go with the Tate crowd...
This an ideology then.
This is an ideology. Yeah, everything's an ideology. These are tenets. These are commandments. And they're in the name of humanity. They're in the name of connection. And they're in the name of responsibility. And all of the 10 ones that we just named. The last one is contained.
Ideology of fairness, or like ideology of freedom and peace, or something like that.
Yeah,
like
that's what we'll create.
Call it to other people.
How do you market it?
Yeah. What do you call it so that other people?
Yeah, because they'll come
create their own tribe.
I know.
I'll explain it with a song.
Because a Christian person will say, "I'm a Christian." Because they say, "I believe in Christ." So we need a martyr. You want to be the martyr?
All right, who wants to die?
Come on, you'll be the scapegoat.
We'll call it Robbism.
Robbism.
Wow.
Yes, just a Christian.
Volunteer.
Or maybe whose name's the best?
Chosen.
You have to wear. You have to grow your beard, grow your hair out, wear a white cloak.
Yeah, you're gonna need conditioner. It's gonna be a whole thing.
You can be your own personal Jesus. Huh?
Exactly.
No, I don't think it should be.
He started the beard already. I think.
No, you can follow suit. I'm happy to go.
We all got some catching up to do.
I think we should choose the biggest guy. Actually, you look better on the posters than the.
You're the Hyperborean amongst us. For sure.
In the name of one of our core tenets, I think we should choose the one that is in size right in the balance mean value, which I think would land right at you.
I think this is violence right now.
Just the way Jay was pointing at you right there.
Pointing fingers is a violence.
We need peace. We need peace and growth.
Well, on that note, guys, thanks for coming down. How does that sound with all this? Yeah.
That's good.
I think we covered a lot. First 4-person podcast, we fucking covered a lot of ground.
Any last thoughts from each one? Anybody wants to chime in?
Can we end with a group hug?
Oh my god, that means we need to be on our knees.
No,
wait, what are your pronouns?
Why does it mean
because we have to be in the frame, otherwise it'll be just our torsos.
Right. It's just going to be a bunch of belt lines.
Yeah.
I'm not liking this.
No. It's a bit
Rest assured, we're all going to hug off camera. Okay, you don't need to see that. Sick.
We'll do that with the jam session. Paid subscriptions. But last words. Do you guys want to chime in?
Fans.
We're good? Anything else?
I want to hear more about what this guy has to say.
Yeah, can you chime in a bit more? I need 5 minutes of just raw television.
No, I don't think.
No?
Rob a bit.
I just got all these ideas now. Like, I'm going to change my life.
All right, guys. Well, how about if we dug this, we can do another reprise sometime. But I'm more than happy. Thanks for listening. I know I was just going off.
No, that was good. Mm-hmm. I feel like I definitely talked over people and interrupted a lot. I'm sorry to everyone.
Fucker.
You
I feel like I learned a lot of stuff tonight.
Okay.
I feel like we all learned something.
Hey, give us one of your tenets before we go. Actually.
Well, I mean, I was talking about the energy you emit is the energy you deserve.
I
think one I didn't really talk about too much was sexual responsibility, because I think a lot of areas, like, there's people having too many children that aren't responsible for the children. Like, if you hear about a woman, she's got, I shouldn't end with this, but like,
oh my God.
And this happens in third world countries. A woman will have like she'll have 8 to 13 children, and there'll be like 7 different fathers. And it's like, well, what kind of chance are you giving those children? I think that there needs to be sexual responsibility, that if you're having sex where there's any potential for pregnancy or to create a new human that's going to exist in this world that could live up to 120 years old, you need to have responsibility with the person you're having sex with. So that would be one of my tenets.
Yeah, big agree on that one.
I think it's tough and I've broken the rule, but if this was my rule, it's like you should know someone for 30 days before you have full intercourse with them. And of course, it's like people are like, oh, third date, let's go, right? But whatever. You should get to know someone.
That's
for
not
30
even
days.
that strict. People said until marriage not that long ago.
Exactly.
I mean,
now
there's a reason they said that too.
You're supposed to have sex on the third date or even second date or whatever, right? Like that's a little soon. We need more sexual responsibility. Yeah. That's one.
I agree. Birth control has made us forget that, but we do, because there's always a chance. It's the act that creates life at the end of the day.
Spoiled. We are sexually spoiled.
True.
Hedonists.
Under
Sex
responsibility,
is very, very important.
this what you're talking about.
Consequential.
What you're talking about is one of the two commandments that Carlin chose out of the 10, and he what he said was be faithful. Right? And I looked up yet again another definition. What does faithful really mean? And it means don't stray, quite literally, right? And for me, faithfulness is actually a better way to express faithfulness is to take responsibility instead of saying I'm faithful. I'll take responsibility. Because you realize that nothing lasts forever. And you can say, but especially in today's world where you see that...
Especially in the cold November rain.
Yeah. And I wrote this. Don't make kids outside of mutual and faithful in good EI and good faith agreements.
Yeah, we're on the same terms.
There you go.
Good that we got that in there.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
Should we
a few more
just,
nuggets.
since we're still going now, should we let Jay
have
one of your tenets?
You need to go at least for another 20
and
minutes.
And then you have a tenet, and then
you
don't.
I feel I've talked more than enough today.
Right,
We need to let Jay have.
You get a tenant.
You can pass.
obviously.
But look what we're doing. Because we have the documentary projecting it onto him, and we're making it a rule.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's like saying that everybody has to use their pronouns. No, they don't. Some people might want to. Sorry. Yes.
Jay,
I like the idea of self-sovereignty. I think that's a big one. And it comes in with the whole talk about COVID and the jabs and all these sort of things. It's that we should have the right to autonomy and to control what goes in and out of our bodies, etc., etc. So, I think you got to work that in somewhere where we have freedoms, but within balance, like you said.
The autonomy is the freedom.
Right.
The autonomy is the freedom, really. Freedom from the higher up.
Yeah, freedom, but balanced with accountability.
Yeah.
Like, I think in this vein, we could say, just put it into one sentence, you own your body. That's yours,
Yeah. It should never be forced.
Yeah, no, it's a claim to say you can do something, to say, like, you need to take this. That's a claim of ownership upon my body. But I own my body.
Until you're pregnant.
That's good.
We got into that on our podcast. So
that's a whole other transition.
No, I like the way that you put that, because that's also one of like my tenets that I have too. It's like you need to balance your body or respect your body. Like people eat too much, they do stuff. You own your body. You're responsible for your own body. So I would highly suggest that should be one of the tenets. Like,
the ownership. At first, there's I get to make all the decisions for my body, but then there's the inverse of like, oh fuck, I'm responsible for it
that's
too.
What Jay's saying. It's like sovereignty.
Sovereignty. Personal sovereignty.
Yeah, and all freedom comes with equal responsibility as well. So
it's the freedom. The freedom to choose to take responsibility.
It's like. Maybe
they're not forced to take responsibility.
Well, for yourself, you are.
I have this brand new idea. What we could say is like my body, my choice.
Oh, God.
Fucking good.
I'm just
oh my God, this is how relative it is, people.
We're not going to get into the abortion debate today, but if you want to hear something on it, check out Ivan's podcast. We did get into it a little bit. And maybe we'll have a full podcast on that, because that's such an interesting issue to so many people, and it's so controversial, and I think you can extract so much from that debate, honestly. I know it's a scary thing. Most people don't want to go there, but just take a chance,
We'll take on life and death next time. How about that, eh?
We'll get some real hardcore shit, yeah.
As well as like having a smooth shave, and that's why I want to remind everyone that Carrie's razors.
Don't give them free sponsorship. We're not being paid.
All right, we got to peace out, right? Are we done, guys?
Yeah,
Anything else?
I'm good.
Rob,
Yeah,
you're done?
totally.
All right, peace out, everyone. We'll see you in the
Are we
next
going to do a
rendition.
final
okay?
cheers or
Cheers.
something?
Whatever.